from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's Bo time.
There's Bo time, and then there's Bojangler time. You heard right. The Bojangler fish fillet sandwich is back for limited time at participating Bojangles. A light, flaky, perfectly seasoned fish fillet with lettuce, cheese, and tartar sauce tucked inside a bun. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or price stopped, opt out.
Hey man, how did the date go?
I had to cancel. I don't get paid until Friday.
You didn't know that you can get up to a $750 paycheck advance with the current app?
Where was that information yesterday?
Just text them, see if you qualify. $750? Boom! And right now, they're offering a $75 bonus when you set up an eligible direct deposit.
Think I should call her back?
Yeah.
Need money before payday? Current has you covered. Set up an eligible direct deposit to see if you qualify for a paycheck advance of up to $750. Hurry and receive an extra $75 sign-up bonus right now. Text WORTH to 323232. That's WORTH to 323232. WORTH to 323232.
Paycheck advance is offered by FindCo Advance LLC, a financial technology company, not an FDIC-insured bank. Eligibility and available amounts may vary and are subject to change at any time. For full terms and conditions, visit current.com/radio or call 1-888-851-3177 for more information.
In World War I, American fighter pilots covering a plane's rear position coined the phrase, "I've got your six," to mean "I've got your back." Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org using the number 6.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. It's hot out there. 83 for the high this afternoon, which would break the previous record. Lots of sunshine, but a small chance of a sprinkle. 62 overnight tonight, and then we'll repeat tomorrow. We'll see a high of 81. It won't quite make a record, but we'll see partly cloudy skies with a chance of sprinkles, and then some thunderstorms late Sunday.
3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 430 points to 47,523. This hour of the drive is brought to you by Law Tigers. Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Case evaluations are always free, and you don't pay a dime until your case settles. Law Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers.
Moving it right back from Goss to spare the slot. They score! A power play goal! Andrei Svechnikov. Ball in the slot. Back for Walker. He scores! Now here's Ehlers. He scores! In that spot. High glove. On his backhand. He scores! Oh, what a goal! Sebastianov! Now here's Ehlers. He tries to shoot and scores! Sending it across, and he scores! Nikolai Ehlers with the hat-trick!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. On a Friday, but not just any Friday, it is NHL Trade Deadline Friday. The official trade deadline 1 minute and 30 seconds ago at 3 o'clock. Now, I should say, there have been known to be some stragglers, right? If the official trade was turned in at 2:59, we might not hear about it until the next hour or so. So the possibility is there, but it appears as if the Carolina Hurricanes are done. They did make one trade for Nic Deslauriers, who we'll talk about. Not a huge needle mover, but huge in size and ferocity. It's also the day before Carolina at Duke. There's some pretty brutal trade news coming, or not trade, injury news coming out of UNC. Caleb Wilson done for the year. We'll talk about it. Matter of fact, let's talk about it. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. Let's jump into the big three at 3.
Number 1.
NHL Trade Deadline has come and gone. Again, there could be some news straggling, bringing up the rear over the next hour or so. But for now, we'll operate under the pretense that the Carolina Hurricanes are done. And the move they made today, Nic Deslauriers for a conditional 7th. That's what you got. Which really, I mean, that story is a small one, right? Nic Deslauriers is a intimidating individual. He's been described as an enforcer, a grinder, a deterrent, an intimidator. That's what you got, and we'll talk about that. But the bigger story is all of the fantastical trades that had been floated, had been rumored, the players that the Canes had been linked to. None of those came through, right? Robert Thomas, Vincent Trocheck. I mean, we could go O'Reilly, Kadri. We could go on and on and on. Bobrovsky, on and on and on and on. None of those came through.
None of it. It doesn't look like any true top 6 forwards got traded.
Braden Shen would be the one that I had heard some Canes fans mention the most that did end up moving, but he was not either the most mentioned nor the most quality of the names mentioned. So I think what you need to acknowledge,
I guess, actually, Bobby McMahon from Toronto is going to Seattle.
And I did joke.
That was just announced.
I did joke that Brink from Philly would be a funny one to add to Carolina, but I was
right.
joking that whole time. My point is this. I think you have to acknowledge that what you want and what is possible is not always going to align. I think it's fair to say after Gensel, Mikko, after all those trades, this front office is not scared, and they're also not complacent, right? They chase big swings, they chase big fish, but if the opportunity isn't there, if the player and the team that's willing to work with you isn't there, you don't go out of your way to force it. You have to be disciplined. And that might be even like, the fans, right? I asked, what was this, Wednesday? I asked, how would you feel if the Carolina Hurricanes did nothing at the deadline? And I think we kind of settled on the fan base would likely be disappointed, and Dennis even said he would be disappointed. I'm not even sure that the Canes front office might not be disappointed, right? Like they may have wanted to make a move, but if there's no move to make, you can't make it. And this seemed to be a for the things they were looking for, a quiet deadline. And, in the weeks and months leading up to it, I think there was a tremendous amount of gamesmanship where you were trying to drum up, not just the Canes, but the league was trying to drum up and posture and bluff each other into making deals, and it just never really happened, right? Everybody kind of stuck to their guns. But again, they did trade that conditional 7th for a Nic Deslauriers. So they didn't do absolutely nothing. They now have a guy who, at the very least, is 3rd among all active NHL players with 90 major penalties in his career, behind only Ryan Reeves and Tom Wilson. And they have 96 and 97. Reeves with 97, Wilson with 96, Deslauriers with 90. And he plays in less games than those guys. Hey, at least you know now. If you play the Canes, if you do something to them, they got a guy who's going to do something to you. Which, by the way, a lot of people have been clamoring for. That edge, that sandpaper, whatever you want to call it, a lot of fans have been clamoring. That is number 1. Let's get to number 2.
Number 2.
This is just a bummer. Caleb Wilson, this news broke not an hour ago. UNC absolute stud freshman basketball player who had been dealing with a fractured left hand, which had kept him out for the last handful of games, and was trending towards returning, right? There was a small chance, he was going to play tomorrow against Duke. And then, obviously, if there's a small chance he's going to play tomorrow, you think there's a very good chance he plays next week in the ACC tournament. That's not going to happen. In practice, in a non-contact drill, he broke the thumb on his right hand. So this is opposite of the hand that he had fractured. His right thumb broken, season-ending surgery required. He's done. And now he starts preparing for the draft, and which he will be a top draft pick. His days playing meaningful basketball wearing a Carolina Tar Heels uniform is over, and that is a bummer on a billion different levels. First of all, I am saddened for the player. He is, and I say this having watched every game he played and every game he didn't play, where he was a member of the team on the bench. He is everything that is right about college basketball today, and that is in a world where there's a lot of guys doing things for a lot of different reasons. He wanted to play. He was working hard to return from an injury. He fractured his hand, taped it up, and finished the game in an era where players with his NBA future are taking themselves out of games if they get out of breath, if they just feel funny, if they think there's any chance of an injury, they protect their future over everything. He wants to play. And now he won't get that chance because even guys that want to play can't play through broken bones and key body parts. So it is. I'm heartbroken for him. Now, I know he's going to go on playing the NBA, right? This isn't like, you play it on the world's smallest violin or whatever, but he only gets 1 year in college. And if you go look at the players, the one and dones that did play in college, they do hold that 1 year pretty darn special, right? They hold it in a special place. They can play 10 years in the NBA and still be talking about that 8 months they spent on campus because it's different. And he's not going to get to finish that, and it stinks. It stinks for UNC. It stinks for Hubert Davis. It stinks for Henry Vasar. It stinks for Seth Trimble. It stinks for them because a big part of their season was built around Caleb Wilson. And in an NIL and a revenue share world, it is kind of like the money that went to him couldn't have gone to someone else. So now it is they have to overcome a tremendous obstacle in the gap left on their roster left by Caleb Wilson. And it's a bummer for college basketball fans. If he was able to play tomorrow, we were going to get Caleb Wilson versus Cam Boozer version 2. Mm-hmm. That's headline stuff. At the very least, we were going to get Caleb Wilson storming back, hopefully healthy, storming back into the ACC tournament. How far can they go? We'll never know. Bummer. That news, again, breaking just earlier this afternoon. Caleb Wilson broke his right hand thumb, which is opposite of the one he was dealing with. So it's not it's not like a rush back or anything. It's completely different bad luck, bad injury luck situation. But his season is done. So I guess it's even more important that they've had the last 6 or 7 games, whatever it's been, playing without him, because they're going to lean on that experience as they get to the postseason. But it just, there's no arguing around it. It significantly lowers their season, lowers their ceiling. He's a big part of their ceiling. That is number 2. Let's get to number 3.
Number 3.
Carolina Hurricanes, the trade deadline was 10 minutes ago. Their game is 6 hours from now, 5 hours and 50 minutes. It is a 9 p.m. puck drop at Edmonton for the Carolina Hurricanes. And there's got to be a little bit of confidence in the Canes, right? There's got to be some. No, we have the right guys in this room. We could have made changes and we didn't. Let's go out there and play hockey. We talked the past couple of games about how when your name pops up in trade discussions or you don't know, if you don't have a no movement clause, you're on pins and needles and you hear rumors, there could be a real relief game for the Canes tonight. And you get to play Edmonton. So maybe not too much relief because, they got some guys that can fly around for Edmonton. 9 p.m., we're obviously going to hear between now and then quite a bit of explanation and dissection of the roster and can they do this and is it good enough and should they have added this guy and should they have overpaid for the other guy. The fact of the matter is the Carolina Hurricanes are facing off against Edmonton tonight. They are, as it stands at this moment, the top team in the Eastern Conference. With the guys that they didn't trade for, right? Like all the guys that they kept on the roster, without whoever your favorite player was in the trade deadline rumors, without Trocheck, without Thomas, without Binnington, I don't know, whoever your favorite was, they are 4 points ahead of everybody else in the Eastern Conference. And they're going to take that group and they're going to go try to win a Stanley Cup. And the post-deadline chase begins tonight against Edmonton on the road. And then tomorrow against Calgary on the road, and then they finally get to come on home. but they're a strong team, and don't, compared to the team that you put together with your fantasy trades in your head, they might not be as overly talented, but in the real world, they're 39-16-6. Pretty good run. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We're going to do our best to react in real time to the deadline that was or wasn't across the NHL, meaning the trades that were or were not across the NHL. And we'll talk Canes. What could have been, what should have been, and what is on Trade Deadline Day next.
Doesn't the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club give the best massages?
I've never felt so relaxed.
Thanks to this month's scratch-offs, this is our life now.
It's like winning again and again and again.
This month's scratch-offs pack over $200 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.49 to 4.37. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
Now, enjoy a Filet-O-Fish and a 10-piece McNuggets. Mix and match any two for just $6 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Single item at regular price cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry, where they have a timepiece, a luxury timepiece for you. I like to say that your interest in watches, your likes, your taste, it's as unique as you are. Some people, they want history. They want military history like Hamilton. They want watchmaking innovation history like the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, granddaddy of all the dive watches, or the Moon Watch from Omega that's been worn on the moon more than any other watch. Some want something brand new. Some want something innovative. Some want something trendy. The Norcanes, the more modern pre-owned and vintage Rolex. There are so many options when it comes to what you wear on your wrist, what statement you want to make. And lucky for us, the Fox & Bailey Watch Shop, located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location, as well as the Omega Boutique, the largest of its kind in the country, and the main showroom at Bailey's have it all. No matter what you want your luxury timepiece to say, they have the watch for you.
Now here's Ehlers. He tries to shoot and scores! Have a period. Nikolai Ehlers is second in the frame, and it's 5-2. Carolina has broken this open.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The NHL trade deadline has come and gone. Okay, so if we hear of any more deals from this point forward, there'll be ones that were already filed and they're just trickling out. The reason I keep saying that is because last year we did 2 hours of breakdown and then we learned they traded for Jankowski. But I don't expect any of the big, real dramatic, over-the-top trades to take an hour to reveal themselves. So the Canes, they traded a conditional future 7th round pick for Nic Deslauriers, who is mostly an intimidation, edge, fighter, enforcer type player from Philly. And other than that, nothing happened. The way I want to phrase this is one way I look at the trade deadline and decide whether I'm going to be upset or pleased or angry or all of these other things with the teams that I care about, which obviously in this case are the Carolina Hurricanes, are I look around at all of the other trades that happened and basically ask myself, am I frustrated they didn't win that bid? Right? If a player was traded for a second rounder, do I feel like, man, I wish the Canes would have given 2 seconds for that player? Like they could have outbid that. They should have outbid that. Or is every trade looking around going, no, I'm glad the Canes bailed out of that bidding war? Right? Because we can talk hypothetically about players that weren't traded. They should have traded for Robert Thomas, but without knowing any kind of what the St. Louis Blues would have accepted, that's a fool's errand, right? They may have required, not just a first-round pick, Nadeau, but Nikishin and Jarvis and Aho and also a partial share of Tom Dundon's Trailblazers. Like, they may have requested everything. We don't know. We know the deals that did happen. And I can say pretty confidently that as we sat around here in the office and refreshed all day long looking for the trades. Not a single time did a trade that somebody else made in the NHL pop across our screens and have all of us going, oh, man, the Canes should have done that. Most of them were, they got how much for who? Who paid that? They gave that. They gave the first plus. There was no real deal that I thought the Canes missed out on. So what are you going to get mad at if you're mad at it? Right? Do you really wish they gave up more than a first, a third, a player, and a goalie prospect for Braden Shen? More than that? Because that's what it would have taken to outbid the Islanders.
Yeah, who's not a top 6 forward.
And it's so my point is this. It does feel, and I'll even agree with you, it feels a bit like incomplete. Right? It feels like you are watching a movie, and this happened to me once, and the projector breaks like an hour and 10 minutes in, and they're just like, sorry, we'll give you a new ticket. And you're like, no, I just want the last 25 minutes. Like, it feels a bit unsatisfying, but there was nothing out there. There's no way to fix it, is kind of the way I'm looking at it. And then you also have to judge yourself against your competitors, right? Because, I went into the break talking about how the Canes are tops in the Eastern Conference, and they are. And we could go, beyond it and say they're 9 points up in the Metropolitan, and they're setting themselves up to be in good position in the postseason. But if you're 9 points up on somebody and they obviously get 8 players way better, well, that changes the algorithm. That changes the math a bit. So Dennis, I'll go to you because I know you were kind of listing everything. When you're looking at the competitors, particularly in the East, right, the ones that you measure yourself against for the Canes,
sure.
Did anybody grow 3 sizes this day? Did any of them upgrade a ton?
No. So you look at Toronto. You look at Toronto. They sold off like Bobby McMahon and some others. But they're out of the playoffs. You look at Tampa Bay. They added Corey Perry. They brought him back, who's a bottom 6 forward, who's been very good in the playoffs over the last few years, especially playing with, and most recently with the Edmonton Oilers and such. Now he's 40 years old, 41 years old, bottom 6 forward for a 2nd-round pick, but he goes back to Tampa Bay, which he spent a good chunk of his career. They didn't add a top 6 forward. They didn't add anyone on defense. You look at the New York Islanders, yes, they got Braden Shen, but he's not a top 6 forward, at least wouldn't be a top 6 forward for the Carolina Hurricanes, and that costs a first, a third, a prospect, and a player to get that. The Buffalo Sabres added a couple of defensemen and a 4th-line forward in Sam Carrick. None of these teams that are contenders in the East added a top 6 forward, no top 2 center across the entire league, unless something's in the queue that we haven't heard yet. Nothing got traded across the entire NHL. So be pissed off if you want about, the Canes didn't do this. Well, guess what? No one did.
Yep.
Nobody did. The entire league didn't do it.
And that likely means the teams that were even willing to listen to offers, right? If you think of like they were willing to listen on Trocheck or Kadri or whoever, we're listening from a very, very, very secure place of, well, I guess we'll sell them, but we're going to set a super high price and we're going to be completely comfortable holding on to the player. And if they don't reach our ridiculously high price, then we'll just sit on it.
Yeah.
Right? You're selling a house and you don't have any reason to move. You're like, well, if you want to give me enough to go buy my dream house, yeah, I'll sell you this house. But if not, I'm just going to keep living in it. We'll keep the sign in the yard, though. Like, that's kind of how all of the players were. At least that's the vibe I get. And when you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you have to acknowledge something. And we're going to have all of these conversations throughout the show and beyond. They're not at the, like, if this were the last year of a window, obviously, then you might force something, right? You might go pay through the nose and go, not having picks and young players is a problem for future us, but we have a year to go win a cup. The Canes window is still wide open. So you do have to at least have enough professional responsibility to not completely tank your future to go force a trade in a slow market, right? You have to acknowledge that you're in the group that could potentially win a Stanley Cup this year. You're also in the group that could potentially win a Stanley Cup next year. And you're likely in the group for a team that could potentially win the Stanley Cup the year after. So I'm not of the belief that you should or will regret not taking a whole bunch of future assets and cashing them out for right now if it wasn't a buyer's market. If it was a buyer's market and things were cheap and you couldn't pass up a deal, yeah, we could talk, right? Then there's other things at work, but it just wasn't that. It wasn't. And I think the posturing and the message sending over the last week especially may have gotten our hopes a little bit further up the thermometer than it should have. Right, 3-4 days ago when they started talking about, like, actually, this is a huge buyer's market, and there's going to be more players available. And then 48 years later, the insiders were going, seller's market, 100% of seller's market. It's like, oh, well, you just got our hopes up for nothing. The Canes window's still open. They could win this year. There's nothing that says you're not allowed to win if you don't make a trade at the deadline. They could win this year. And for more kind of context on the whole situation, here's Greg Wyshynski, who was on our YouTube earlier today.
This is a really good hockey team. In fact, I would go as far as to say I was talking to somebody, another Eastern Conference executive this week, and he said to me, look, they might not have a Mikko Rantanen on the roster, they might not have a Jake Gensel on the roster, but top to bottom, it might be the best offensive group that this team has had under Brind'Amour. And so, like, there's not a whole lot of pressure, especially with the emergence of Brandon Bussey, goaltending savior, for these guys to do a lot of anything right now. But again, listen, I'm not putting anything past Eric Tulsky to pull a rabbit out of his hat before the deadline today, because there are trades to be made. If they want to upgrade parts of this team, there's certainly going to be opportunities. There's a lot of supply out there.
They're a good team. Are they a great team? Well, no, until they are. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? Peyton Manning couldn't win the big one until he had 2 Super Bowls. They're not a great team because they haven't made it to the Stanley Cup final. They haven't won the Cup. They haven't done those things yet. So they're not that until they are. That's not a prediction that they will this year, but it's possible. I don't look at, and then this is I put this out on Twitter just saying, like, all right, if the deadline passed, nobody else is kind of revealed to us that a trade took a while to process. Mm-hmm. If the Canes are done, what's your reaction? And I asked the Canes fans. There's a lot of disappointment, and I'll tell you this: there's a lot of I almost think mythologizing of Tampa. Tampa's very good. They're not unbeatable. Okay, yeah. And I don't look at it as like, oh, without trading for a second-line center, there's 0% chance you're going to beat Tampa. Maybe they will lose to Tampa. It's not written in stone at this point in time because you didn't make a trade that may not have been there at all. Again, Tampa's good. So are the Canes.
Yeah, like Tampa didn't get out of the first round last year. Like you don't have to worry about facing them until the Eastern Conference Final.
Correct. I guess they're just, they can't say the Panthers this year, so they had to go to someone else as the big bad bullies that are waiting. I will say, actually, I'll put this out there. If there was a reason to maybe overspend at the deadline, it would be that there is no big bad bully in the East this year, and it feels wide open, which, it's almost like the term YOLO.
You only live once?
You only live once. That could be motivation to do something really reckless, like you only live once, but it also could be motivation to not, because it's like, dude, you only live once. You die, you don't get another one of these, right? So it can motivate both. It's like the East is wide open. That's why you should have gone and spent on the big ticket, overspent, go get it, because it's wide open. It's also like, you know what? It's wide open. Might not have to spend on the big ticket wide. Like if the Panthers were cranking and had all their dudes healthy, then you probably would need to go get another guy if you wanted to chase him down. I don't see that Goliath in the East this year.
Let's also not forget what they did add with Scott Lawton. Oh, not with Scott Lawton. Scott Lawton got traded out to the LA Kings. But with Nic Deslauriers, people were clamoring for grit and toughness on the team. Well, congratulations. You got grit and toughness on the team. Also, you added depth at forward because now you have there are injuries. Injuries will happen in the playoffs. We saw it happen last year. You have guys that you can plug in and play right away as opposed to having to go down to guys from the Chicago Wolves. Plain and simple.
Nic Deslauriers
is one tough son of a gun.
There you go. And I completely understand he doesn't have a ton of goals scored. Listen, I don't think he's going to suit up that often.
No, he won't.
That's
okay.
When he suits up, it will not be to score goals. If he wants to, steal one, whatever. But no, it'll be to settle a score in a different way if he is suited up. And I actually think it is one thing that they've been missing the last few years. If you're going to employ a bunch of smaller forwards and a bunch of skill guys, I think you need a Nic Deslauriers just to make sure everybody thinks twice before they start bullying those guys. So I like that move. I think it's window dressing. It's not a super important move. I like it, though. And he'll have his role, and gosh darn it, he'll be willing to play that role. I pretty darn can guarantee you. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on and we jump into our Dean's List and continue talking about the Canes trade deadline and the NHL trade deadline at large, Dennis Cox has something he'd like to tell you.
I do. Dennis Cox here, real quick, for my good friends over at Law Tigers. This is, you might be a little disappointed if you're a hockey fan today, but I got something you can be excited about because the Law Tigers are once again teaming up with your Carolina Hurricanes to give one lucky Caniac a custom Canes Ducati motorcycle, courtesy of Art Motor Garage and Shiny Side Paint. Simple to enter. You go to caniacsbike.com. Enter at caniacsbike.com. The bike will be given away live on the ice April 4th at the game, and it includes tickets to a catered suite. But the deadline to enter, it's the 29th, March 29th of this year. So just a few weeks away. You got to enter by then. caniacsbike.com. It literally takes a minute to do. Go to caniacsbike.com. You'll see pictures of the bike. Just the spring weather that we have going on right now. Imagine cruising around on a motorcycle. I'm enjoying riding around my bike. You could be out on yours as well. And imagine being a custom Canes Ducati motorcycle. That could be yours. Go to caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Back after this with the Dean's List.
Soundstation and Security, your automotive and audio experts. Car audio, car video, home theater, wheels and tires, and so much more. Plus, did you know Soundstation and Security offers full service for your vehicle? Alignments, inspection, oil changes, window tinting, and custom exhaust. And with a variety of financing options, Soundstation and Security can help you get what you need today. 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Soundstation and Security. Visit myhotsound.com.
Whether you're in school, whether it's in life, you just got to give it everything you got, and I'm glad I was able to represent that.
The Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month from 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union. To nominate your athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326.
This is what breaking news on WRAL sounds like.
Sky 5 captured the moments a high-speed chase ended in a crash.
From the moments that matter.
Let's take a look at those live pictures right now from Sky 5, and you can see
when seconds count.
Authorities say they are very concerned for the safety of the public. And
when your safety is the priority.
It's still an active scene. Take a look behind
and
me.
We begin at 6 with that breaking news. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
Watch WRAL News. Breaking news coverage you can count on.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Looking for Trimble. Instead has to go high post to Vasar. Back to the basket. Vasar's just going to turn and shoot it. Yes! Vasar for 3.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Who was the insider that said the Canes are done? Just to give credit.
Frank Saravalli.
Frank Saravalli says the Canes do not have a straggler of a deal that we'll learn about as the day goes on. So we'll act now under the assumption that the Canes have no more deals that we are unaware of that have been made. It is Nic Deslauriers for a conditional 7th-round pick from the Flyers, and that's all. Okay? And if you're underwhelmed by that, you're allowed to be underwhelmed by that. As if I get to decide how you feel. You are allowed. But my it's understandable if you are underwhelmed, as long as you don't go over the top saying like it's dumb and stupid and all those things, because
Yeah, well, a lot of people saying first round exit.
I mean, this core really has. I mean, they've proven to win at least one. And by the way, if you just pick an NHL team and say they won't win the cup this year, you're gonna be right way more often than you're wrong. It's hard to win the cup. It's very, very difficult. And sometimes you make all the right decisions. Sometimes you make the right trade. Sometimes you make the right avoiding of trades, and you still don't win the cup. Right? It's funny how this year they didn't do anything. Second round exit, that's the best you can hope for. Last year, they tried to trade for Mikko Rantanen. The year before, they trade for Jake Gensel. And it's like, as usual, they do nothing, and thus a second round exit, par for the course. I'm like, no, they've done the big swing. This front office is not afraid of making the big trade. They didn't this year. That's all. That's a different from saying like they never do. It's like it's not par for the course that they are quiet at the deadline. It's how this year went.
I asked the Canes fan, like, ask yourself this question. What move was made, not theoretically, what move that was actually made that said, you know what, that should have been us? What NHL trade was actually made that said that should have been us? Because I don't see a top 6 forward out there. I don't see a top 4 defenseman. No goalie was dealt outside of like prospect goalies. So again, what deal was actually made that the Canes missed on?
That's I think one of the more level-headed ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to get into hypotheticals, and then you're never going to be pleased.
Well, yeah, exactly. We could have got whatever it again.
And
none of those deals. Like, here's the thing: no one traded for Robert Thomas. Nobody
did, and
no one got Vincent Trocheck.
And like I hear all of the. This is the same thing they did when they didn't trade for Brady Tkachuk. This is the same thing they did or Matthew Tkachuk. Same thing they did when they didn't trade for so-and-so. And they always, to get a good player, you gotta trade good players. And you got to be willing to I hear you, right? And I agree with all of that. But do you know what we have the benefit of that actual GMs don't have the benefit of? We can remember the trades that we would have made in whatever order we want. Like, yeah, maybe you would have traded for a Tkachuk. Maybe you would have traded for Gensel and immediately signed him to a long term. Maybe you would have drafted. You would have traded the farm and traded up to draft every good player ever. But do you know what you don't have to also account for? All of the bad players you would have traded for. All of the awful players you would have traded for. You probably would have traded away the pick that became Seth Jarvis in the middle of the first. You would have traded away so much, and you don't have to remember any of that. You just remember that I said we needed Tkachuk. So, yeah, you also said you needed this guy who stinks, this guy who flamed out, this guy who never got back to the heights he was chasing. And, like, they're playing with the live bullets when they're making trades. It's not fantasy like we do. And I do my best to acknowledge that. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's take a quick break from the Canes trade deadline talk to fire up the old Dean's List. All right, everybody. Dean's List. You know what? I'm putting them on there. I'm putting Caleb Wilson in the Dean's List for how he has carried himself throughout his Carolina year. If you missed the news from earlier today, the breaking news, we were all aware that Caleb Wilson was working to return from a fractured left hand. Turns out at practice in a non-contact drill, he broke his right thumb, so opposite hand of his previous injury. Season-ending surgery, done for the year. Will not be back for, obviously, the Duke game tomorrow in Cameron, but also not available for the ACC or NCAA tournaments. Just a bummer, but I like his passion for competition. I like his game. Just as a basketball player, I like his potential. And I'm bummed that we aren't going to get to see him play college basketball anymore. So he goes on the Dean's List. More Dean's List. Former NC State baseball player Wojciech Mensik. I worked on pronouncing that. Who is playing for Czechia in the World Baseball Classic. They're not having a great run of it. They lost to Korea and Australia. But versus Australia, their only run came on an RBI sacrifice fly from Mensick, former NC State baseball player. So he's wearing his country on his jersey. That's pretty cool. And he got an RBI. That's even better. Way to go. More Dean's List. How about Nasir Whitlock? Kicking off March Madness. Madness emphasized. Did you see the half-court game winner for Lehigh?
I did not.
Buzzer beater, half-court, game winner, Nasir Whitlock. It was to beat Holy Cross in the Patriot League tournament quarterfinals. Once the buzzer beaters start coming in elimination games, oh, baby, it's March. Nasir Whitlock, the one that kicked it off this year. Dennis, do you have any Dean's Listers?
Duke women's basketball won
Okay.
today, so they advanced to the ACC tournament. And I actually need to look and see if NC State women's.
I saw they were kind of getting.
I know they were playing Notre Dame today.
They were not doing
they
as
lost
well
today.
as they were not doing as well as one would hope if you were a State fan.
Yeah, NC State women's basketball lost today. So I will put Duke women's basketball on the Dean's List today. They advanced to the ACC tournament. UNC women's basketball set to play a little bit later on this afternoon.
There you go. More Dean's List. Drake Thomas, former Heritage High School and NC State linebacker, yesterday cashed in a bit.
Oh, that's right.
Little 2-year, $8 million base salary with a chance to make it up to $9 million, according to insider sources. This is all ESPN reported. He is a Super Bowl champion from this past year. He is a 96 tackles, 3.5 sacks as a first-year starter linebacker, and he parlayed that into a 2-year, $8 million base with ability to make it up to $9 million salary. That's pretty darn cool. I love the guys that, had to fight through something, make it on special teams, grind on a practice squad, and then when given an opportunity, ready and waiting. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Undersized linebacker making it happen. And you know what? That'll do it. Let's end the Dean's List there. Beautiful. Because I wouldn't cut the Dean's List short like we did there by about 45 seconds if we weren't going to stay in the college sports world with something that is pretty darn awesome in the college sports world. UNC at Duke tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Takes on a different story with the Caleb Wilson news today, but it is still that rivalry. And we're going to talk about it and keep you updated on anything we hear out of the reverberations, the ripple effects from the trade deadline in the NHL. We'll do it all coming up next.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right. Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's bow time, and then there's Bojangler time. You heard right. The Bojangler fish fillet sandwich is back for limited time at participating Bojangles. A light, flaky, perfectly seasoned fish fillet with lettuce, cheese, and tartar sauce tucked inside a bun. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Jackson Hewitt handles your taxes and your stress. Inhale our no surprise price of $149 or less. Exhale, paying more for complicated taxes. You won't. Inhale new tax law knowledge. Exhale, missing out on your biggest refund? Certainly not. Don't miss paying $149 or less. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
7 seconds. Gets the screen to the left. Dixon with 5 seconds. A drive on Boozer. Got inside. Flipped it cross court. Trimble for the win. Hit it at the buzzer. There may be a tenth or two left. It appears the Tar Heels have won here at home.
Duke radio call of the last time Carolina and Duke faced off. It was a not technically buzzer beater. I think there was like 0.3 seconds left on the clock after they reviewed. 0.4. So they stormed the court, had to get him off, put 0.4 on, stormed the court again because Seth Trimble made the shot that ended up being the game winner for Carolina. And obviously, UNC at Duke is always going to be a big deal, right? It's always going to be college game day, right? It's always going to be the one that everybody tunes in for. And tomorrow at 6:30, it'll be similar. But there will be a gray cloud hanging over it because Caleb Wilson is done for the year for UNC. And from a UNC perspective, it drops their ceiling quite a bit. And that's not, and like very obviously, not an insult to Carolina. There's not a team in the country that if you take away their best player, their most talented NBA prospect, whatever you want to call it, if you take that player away, that their ceiling doesn't drop a good bit. Right? You just heard the highlight there from the Duke Radio Network of Carolina pulling off the upset. That upset, even with the comeback at the end, is not possible if Caleb Wilson isn't the best player on the floor at times, particularly in the first half in that game. And that's on the floor with him was Cam Boozer and Isaiah Evans and all these guys for Duke. And Caleb Wilson was the best player on the floor for long stretches in the first half. And if he's not, they don't even have a chance to execute that comeback down the stretch. And Seth Trimble doesn't get to etch himself into the history of this rivalry with that game-winning shot. So losing a player like that, it's brutal. Losing a player like that after losing a player like that, right? Because he fractured his left hand and missed a handful of games and was trying to come back, and now he fractures the thumb breaks the thumb on his right hand and has season-ending surgery. That's he's wobbly on his feet and the knockout blow. That's brutal. And I hope, and I'm not saying this is the case, and I'm not going to try to look into anyone's brain, I hope even Duke is a little bit bummed. Right, because they're not going to get a true rematch, and I hope that's what they were desperate for. I hope they were rooting for Caleb Wilson to be available and to come back from the fractured left hand and to be out there because they wanted to get their lick back. And now they still want to win. Both teams still want to win, as they do in every game, and obviously in the rivalry. But there's going to be a but if Duke wins this game. There's going to be Carolina fans going, yeah, but what happened when Wilson did play? And that's now never going to be solved, and it's going to become one of those, bar/across the cubicle water cooler conversations between Duke and Carolina fans that just goes on forever and ever and ever. Which is not the way you want these games to go. You want them both full strength. You want them both ranked high. You want them both with huge stakes. And you want it to be, Ali Frazier. You want it to be Rocky Apollo Creed, right? You want this thing to go the distance. And now it's going to be, let's just say, a very, very uphill climb for UNC. Duke at the moment, according to DraftKings, 17.5-point favorites.
Gosh, the line's gone up.
See, it was 16.5 this morning, the first time I saw the line. And my immediate thought went, oh, they know Caleb Wilson's not playing.
Yeah.
And then obviously now we know his season's over. And it jumped up even a point from there to 17.5. That is gargantuan. I can't imagine there are many opportunities in the entirety of this rivalry, no matter how high or low either of these teams have gotten. I bet you there's not a ton of opportunities between these two teams where either team was favored by 17.5. So that shows you kind of what the expectations are for this one. And if you think, the sports books are playing on people and trying to get them to bet one way, ESPN has a matchup predictor, which is according to ESPN's analytics. They use numbers and everything. 92.6% Duke wins, according to the ESPN matchup predictor. That's what UNC is up against. Now, the interesting part is, normally when a great player is hurt and the next game is a big one, there's a bunch of questions. How are they going to play without him? Who's going to take those shots? Where does the rotation, where does the usage go? Carolina they've been doing it. They've warmed up. They've practiced, right? Because Caleb Wilson has been out with the left hand injury for the last handful. So you kind of know, right? If there's a two-headed monster, it's Vesar and Seth Trimble. Luka Bogovac can pop off for a good game if he's feeling it, shooting from deep. Derek Dixon has no problem. Absolutely no problem, despite being a freshman who wasn't even really in the rotation early in the year, has no problem taking absolutely monster clutch shots. And Duke knows that from the last time they played him. But also, just recently, what was it, Clemson? He hit a giant three down the stretch. He's a guy that could be 2 for 10, and he's just going, I know the problem. I haven't taken my 11th yet. So we know what Carolina's going to try to do. We know what Duke's going to try to do. They're going to try to lean on that defense, absolutely grind you to a pulp. They're going to try to get Cam Boozer going down low, get him to the free throw line, which, obviously we're talking some things need to break Carolina's way, right? You're a 17.5 point dog. Some things are going to have to break your way. But if we're talking about ways that an upset can happen, Henry Vesar cannot get in foul trouble. Cannot. He is maybe the most important player for the rest of the season for Carolina. And he's one of the few that could put the team on his back for stretches. And maybe, again, if there is like weird silver linings, it's that Carolina's been dealing with this, so they have experience with it. Here's their head coach, Hubert Davis, on the adjustments that some of these injuries have forced him and his team to make.
You're talking about the injuries and having to adjust. Those are things that you guys see. There's a lot of other things that go into getting prepared for a game, and so there's always ongoing adjustments, things that you have to change, look at, tweak, pivot, alter throughout the year to put them in the best position to be successful. But like I've said before, I've been so proud of this group of how they've been able to do it, because when you look at it in its entirety, it's been a lot. And the way that these guys have adjusted and responded and reacted to it has been remarkable.
I agree. It's impressive what they've done in the face of injuries. And they've dealt with Vesar being out earlier this year. People forget Seth Trimble missed a long time with a real freak injury. It happened like in the weight room. Something fell on him or something. It was a forearm.
Piece of weight equipment, yeah.
And now they're dealing with Caleb Wilson and have been dealing with Caleb Wilson's injury. But I will say this. It's different when you have the light at the end of the tunnel. When you're like, hey, if we make it another month, we get Seth Trimble back. Hey, as soon as Henry's feeling better, we get Vesar back. And up until now, it's been, let's keep the train on the tracks until Caleb Wilson comes back. That light at the end of the tunnel is not there anymore. You're not going to get saved by Caleb Wilson in the ACC tournament. You now have your team. And I believe he'll, because of everything I've seen, I believe he's still going to be on the sideline. He's still going to be cheering his team on.
Oh, for sure.
He's still going to be invested and helping, but he won't be able to go out there and dunk on people. He's not going to be able to go out there and get you 22 and 12. So it's a different beast now. From a Duke perspective, it's another game that you're now expected to win by a bunch. It's very lose-lose for you, right? Or maybe win for you. It's still win. If you win, well, yeah, you should have. You were a huge favorite. They didn't have their best player. If you lose, goodness gracious, you lost to them and they didn't have their best player. So you have to go out there and handle that the way you've handled it most of the year, which is, you're the overwhelming favorite and got to go take care of business.
How much of a gut punch is that to Carolina, by the way?
Massive.
I mean, it just sucks.
Yeah. I mean, when you hear them talk about Caleb Wilson and the energy he brings to practice and the confidence he instills in his team, and to have that guy be the one that's just taking body shots of body blows, brutal injuries at the most important time of the year, that stinks. That stinks. And I'm not trying, every injury stinks, okay? And every team to a certain extent deals with injuries, right? At this point of the year, nobody's feeling 100%. And I'm not, it's brutal because of how good of a basketball player he is, but it's also brutal, maybe equally or more so, because of the way he's handled himself all year. Right? He's said the right things after bad losses. He's dug back in and played harder in the games where they try to bounce back. He's tried to play through injuries. He's cared. You can tell the Carolina uniform means something to him, which if you watch there's going to be a ton of basketball games over the next however many weeks. If you just turn on a random one, you're going to see a couple guys likely who are out there just thinking about their NBA draft stock or about the transfer portal they're going to enter as soon as this thing's over, or it's the way it is. Some guys are that way. Caleb Wilson could have been, right? When you hurt your wrist, if you go back out there and keep playing and score the lowest points you've scored in a while, that's going to hurt your stats. And those stats are going to be on your graphic on the NBA draft. And you could have just said, no, thank you, I'm here, I'm not going to play. But he was fighting to return. I love that. And I guess, I don't like taking victory laps because I'm wrong a lot. So hand up, I'm wrong a lot, but I'm going to selfishly take a victory lap. Go back and listen. It was 5 days before the season started. I did 12 minutes on why is Caleb Wilson not being mentioned with DeBonsa and Boozer and because I thought he was one of that upper tier of freshmen, and he wasn't being included in those. And while he won't get a chance to see it through, I think he proved me right. I'm not taking credit for it, right? He did all the work. He made all the plays. But I think he proved me right. And I mean, we could go find the mock drafts. I think he was 8 to 12 at the beginning of the year. I don't think he makes it out of the top 5. And depending on how he works out and tests and the medicals and everything, it might be, 3 or 4 if we're being real. He's that good. And it's an absolute bummer he won't get to finish out his year. He won't even get his second Duke game. He won't get his at Cameron indoor game.
No.
Which I would look forward to a little bit more than even the Duke game at the Dean Dome if I were a UNC player. I would want to go shut up the others as much as I would want to celebrate with my own, right? I'll come back and celebrate with my own after quieting them up. That's a bummer.
Never got to play state?
Never got to play state?
Yeah.
They only got to play once, which is a whole other deal.
But even in the ACC tournament, if they happen to match up.
Very true. Very true.
It stinks.
But he does get to say he never lost to Duke or State either, which...
It's very true.
Aha, spin zone.
See, there it is.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We will do a quick football at 4 at the top of the next hour because we always do. But we have gotten confirmation that we are expecting Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, to join us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline in around 4:15, right? Obviously, he's a busy guy, so you're going to give or take some time, perhaps. But we are expecting Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, now that the trade deadline has come and gone, to join us here on the show. We look forward to that insight, and obviously, hopefully you'll stick around and listen to it. But football at 4 is up next. Tulsky sometime after that. Stick around.
Hey, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Raleigh Weight Loss Center. I had lost over 40 pounds, 42 pounds thanks to Raleigh Weight Loss Center, and have maintained the weight that I've lost. That's over 15% of my body weight. And Raleigh Weight Loss Center and their program, they've helped thousands of people just like me lose anywhere from 10 to 20% of their body weight. And if you're serious about the weight loss journey, especially like for myself, a guy who's in his late 30s, losing over 40 pounds, it ain't easy. But Raleigh Weight Loss Center is there to jumpstart your metabolism, to get your body to do what it naturally can do, which is to lose weight, burn fat. No shots or injections, no steroids, no side effects, no surgeries, no pills, nothing like that. Just resetting your metabolism, again, so your body can do the natural thing. Give them a call, 919-897-7506, or visit RaleighWeightLossCenter.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call. By the way, first 50 callers, get $100 off. 919-897-7506, RaleighWeightLossCenter.com. Results may vary.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. The heat wave continues. Yes, we could break an afternoon high this afternoon, 83 degrees, 62 overnight tonight, and tomorrow's high, 81. It won't quite break a record, but we'll see partly cloudy skies both this afternoon and tomorrow with a small chance of a shower, a better chance for rain late Sunday with a few thunderstorms.
4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 433 points to 47,521. This hour of the drive is brought to you by Law Tigers. Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call Law Tigers before you call your insurance company. Case evaluations are always free. You don't pay a dime until your case settles. 1-800-LAW Tigers, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. As I said before the break, we are expecting Eric Tolsky, the Carolina Hurricanes GM, to join us to answer some of our questions about the deadline and give us some insight into what the Canes explored and didn't explore and how they ended up where they ended up.
15 minutes.
15 minutes is the expectation there. So don't go anywhere, Canes fans. I know a lot of you are pretty passionate about what didn't happen at the trade deadline for the Canes.
Some are disappointed. Some are pretty livid.
I would say that's the scale from like sad to furious. There's very few that are happy, which I get, but I thought there'd be more like, okay, all right, no, we got our squad, but that's not. They're traumatized from I like our group.
And by the way, for the one saying, hey, it's the football offseason, why are you talking about football? Free agency starts on Monday. So, okay.
If you need that, if you need that hope to point to.
Don't worry, we're coming back to hockey, folks.
Yes. And actually, we're going to relate our football at 4 here back to hockey, because we did this with the Carolina Hurricanes maybe 2 weeks ago as we started nearing onto the trade deadline. Or actually, it was during the Olympic break, so however long ago that was. Who are the untouchables, right? We asked that about the Canes. And it turns out many of you think Alexander Nikishin is an untouchable, because if his name is even floated in a trade for like McDavid, no, Nikishin, no. He wasn't on my list of untouchables. He was on my list of only if you're getting an absolute stud. But he wasn't on my list of untouchables. Let's do that for the Panthers, right? Same exercise. Trades can be happening, right? Like if Max Crosby is going to be traded, if A.J. Brown's going to be traded, if maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be traded. Trades can happen now, even before free agency. So who are the untouchables on the Carolina Panthers? Who are the Dan Morgan answers the phone. Click. Right? Hello. I'm thinking of offering you for XYZ name, and Dan Morgan goes, click. Don't even have to explain myself. I'm going to be honest. When I did this for the Canes, I started with a really, really long list, and I whittled away in reverse, right? Because it's like, well, that guy, he's a heart and soul guy, but maybe if the right offer, and, well, I'm a big fan, but I've actually entertained trades for him already. Cross him off the list, and on and on and on, and eventually I got down to, I think it was like 4 names. For the Panthers, the exact opposite happens. I don't have a really long list. Matter of fact, my gut instinct for who are the untouchables on the Carolina Panthers is nobody. That was
not even Derek Brown.
Not it. I mean, where does Derek Brown rank realistically in the defensive tackles in the NFL?
I'd say he's top 5.
Yeah, I'd say 5, 6. Somewhere in there. If you're flirting with the top 5 at your position, and you aren't somebody who has, like to use a hockey thing, like scored the golden goal in a meaningful game, I'm not gonna go crazy with that. He's already paid a lot, right? So it's not like he's on some golden ticket contract where it's like, no, you're not gonna get that value anywhere. And he does have an injury history, having missed most of not this most recent season, but the one before it. I'm as big of a Derek Brown, I'm as big of a J.C. Horn fan as you can have, but I'm not hanging up if somebody calls about him. If they want to pay him like they're the best at their position, I might consider it. Because I understand that there's still a bunch of holes on the roster. Now, if you told me there's somebody out there that is quintessential to the culture, right? If Dave Canales, who seems very in tune with that sort of thing, tells me if you move on from Derek Brown, everybody will turn on each other. He is the fibers holding this team together, then I would go, all right, fine, untouchable. But we don't know that, right? I actually think we get a better idea of that in hockey than we do in football, right? Like we get a better idea of the guys who are maybe, very, very good players, but, mean more to the culture. In the NFL, offense, defense, different position groups, we just don't know. So from a football perspective, if you gave me a bunch of picks and you took Derek Brown's money to where I can spend, what is he making, 20-something million a year? If I get 20-something million a year to spend on someone else plus a bunch of super high picks, I'd consider it. I'm not saying I'd pull the trigger, but I'd consider it. And maybe that's like cold and callous, but I'm not. I wrote names down, almost forcing myself to write names down, and then went, never mind, I'm crossing it off. I love J.C. Horn, big fan of his game. This past year he was really, really good. His injury history makes it very, very tempting to, like, if you're going to give me guarantees, I will give you this really, really, really good player who, is going to be there maybe 2 out of 3 years. Who would you put on the list? Like, is it just Derek Brown for you?
I mean, maybe Tedero McMillan, maybe.
Tedero McMillan's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I would consider that. And I did write him down and then took him off because it's 1 year. And there is a part of me that says, not like he's unproven. I think he's a stud.
Yeah.
But I think there are things around him that might hold him back if things go south the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes having the stud wide receiver and not the everything to take advantage of it is like, we're going to end up paying this guy a lot of money. 2 off seasons from now, I think he's one of the 10 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, once you get to extension eligible, he's getting the Garrett Wilson deal. He's getting the Drake London deal. Like, he's getting that deal. So he'll be highly paid, and it's just tough. That would probably be the one I would be most reluctant on, is Tedero McMillan. I would even consider like just off of contract, like a Jalen Coker or something like that, because you get him for the minimum this year, at least one. What are you going to do? Like, that's a minimum. Like, of course. But if somebody wants to pay you ridiculous money, ridiculous compensation, I'm not hanging up. There are players on the Canes and like Aho, Jarvis, Stahl, where I think I'm hanging up before I even hear the offer. I don't think there's anyone on the Panthers I'm hanging up before I hear the offer. I think there are some that I'm very likely to hang up once I hear the offer, but I'm not hanging up before. And I won't, with the best players on certain teams, I would hang up and not even like lie awake at night going, I wonder what they were going to offer. I wouldn't even be curious. With the Panthers, if somebody calls and says, I want to trade for Derek Brown, and I hang up, I go, nope, he's untouchable. Click, you're done. Block that number. That night, I'd be laying in my bed trying to fall asleep going, do you think it was 2 firsts? Do you think it was 2 firsts? Do you think it was 2 first plus? Do you think it was 2 firsts and a young player? Like I would be asking myself that constantly, and that right there tells me it's not an untouchable. And that's and by the way, like 100% easier to say than do. I'm not saying I would pull the trigger on any of these trades.
I mean, I would be if for example, a guy like Derek Brown or Tyrell McMillan, I better be getting a haul back.
Yes,
I'm talking a massive haul back because I'm not just going to give that guy up for like nothing.
No,
or spare parts.
Derek Brown's a little more difficult because he's been in the NFL for a while. So, but like if you're trading McMillan and you get what you think is going to be a top 10 pick and another first or something like that, like then you just turned an 8th pick into the 7th and another first, and you got a year of a number 1 wide receiver. If you trust your drafting, that's good business, right? And I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm darn sure taking it to Brant Tillis if I'm Dan Morgan and going, do we have to take this? Like
what are your thoughts here?
This seems like something we should discuss. Where, if you pick, I would say most other teams in the NFL, or at least half the other teams in the NFL, there's a few guys where it's like, no, I don't care how good business is, he's not leaving. Right? If you're I mean, this is gonna be the most obvious example, so don't kill me for Captain Obvious. Like if you're the Chiefs and someone offers you like Josh Allen and 2 firsts, you're not taking it for Patrick Mahomes. Even though that's another MVP who's really good and a bunch of picks, but Patrick Mahomes is you. Right? I don't see, and again, Captain Obvious, there's no Mahomes on Carolina, but I don't see any players that mean that much and have been that successful and are that vital to your success and have that relationship with your team on the Carolina Panthers. And I think it also it puts you just where you are in your team build. Right? The Canes, they make it to the postseason every year. They win a playoff series every year. Like they've got dudes. If you're the Panthers, I still think you're below 50% to make the playoffs next year. Can you hang up on anybody when you still need to make those kinds of giant strides to win a Super Bowl? The best trades in NFL history are very rarely the ones where you give up just scrubs, right? You got to give up somebody with a name and just get a haul and then execute that haul very well. That's what I'm looking at. So I know it stings to say because I do like the Panthers and I like what they've built and I've liked a lot of the guys they've brought in. I don't think there's an untouchable on that roster. There's some guys with high prices. I don't think there's an untouchable on that roster. And I've like I said, I've gone through it. Like Robert Hunt, I really, really like. I think he changed the culture of that offensive line. I think it matters. You know what? I'll put one untouchable. J.J. Jansen. There you go. Long snapper. Been there forever.
You can't have J.J.
No. Nope. First of all, if somebody calls trying to trade for my 40-something-year-old long snapper, I might hang up on him just thinking that it's a prank call. But also, no, you can't have J.J. I don't care how badly you need a long snapper. He's ours. There you go. I found one after all that. I found one. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. For those of you just tuning in, the breaking news of the day being two parts. One, NHL Trade Deadline is come and gone. The Carolina Hurricanes did make a trade. It was not of the splash variety. They traded for Nic Deslauriers from the Panthers, from the Flyers for a conditional 7th-round pick. He is a player that has, 10 times the penalty minutes that he has like points this year. He is roughly described as an enforcer. He's there to intimidate and protect his guys. I don't even know how often he'll suit up unless there's a history, something that says you might need someone to protect your guys.
Yeah.
The other bit of breaking news, Caleb Wilson, stud freshman for the Carolina Tar Heels, is he's done for the year. And it unfortunately, or The details are he had the left hand fracture that he had been dealing with, and he had missed the last handful of games. He was working to return from that. There was a small chance he could play tomorrow against Duke until, in a non-contact drill and practice, he broke the thumb on his other hand, his right hand thumb, which required season-ending surgery. So not only is he out for the Duke game tomorrow, he's out for the ACC and NCAA tournaments, and as he rehabs from the injuries, he will be preparing for the NBA draft. That all according to Shams Charania, NBA insider, and then confirmed through multiple college and NBA reporters. It stinks. It's brutal. It is not fun for anybody involved, but you hope he gets better and can realize the massive potential that he showed at Carolina later in his career. We are expecting to talk with Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. When we return, he'll explain the Canes' outlook and execution through the trade deadline, which came and went at 3 o'clock today. Stick around.
Listen for the "Did he just do that?"
Star to the cup for the tomahawk.
Listen for the "Get that out of here's."
Blocked by Brown from behind. Get that out of there.
Did he just do that?
Now Caleb Foster ahead to Evans and a dunk to say goodnight.
The road to Indianapolis runs through 99.9. The Fan. Driven by Strategic Tax Resolution, Wink Med, Fairway Green, and Chapel Hill Family and Cosmetic Dentistry.
Everybody in your crew identifies as either Big Mac Burger, McNuggets, or McCrispy Sandwich. But you're the Filet-O-Fish Sandwich all day. That crispy fish, that savory tartar sauce, that melty cheese, that pillowy bun. Yeah, you get it. Every time.
Now, enjoy a Filet-O-Fish and a 10-piece McNuggets. Mix and match any two for just $6 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Single item at regular price cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
At First Carolina Bank, we pride ourselves on building relationships and doing the day-to-day things in banking extremely well. Experience the First Carolina way for yourself or your business today. Visit firstcarolinabank.com. First Carolina Bank. Member FDIC.
Doesn't the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club give the best massages?
I've never felt so relaxed.
Thanks to this month's scratch-offs, this is our life now.
It's like winning again and again and again.
This month's scratch-offs pack over $200 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.49 to 4.37. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Happy Friday, everybody. It is not just any Friday, though. It is NHL Trade Deadline Friday. Deadline was at 3 o'clock, and I assume that means Eric Tulsky has not slept in quite some time. The Carolina Hurricanes GM joins us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Eric, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time. I'm sure it's busy and you're exhausted. Have you slept much in the last 48 hours?
It's been okay. Wasn't like last year where I got 8 minutes of sleep the night before the deadline. At least I got a few hours this year.
All right. Well, glad to hear that. Glad to hear you're refreshed. Let's first talk about the move that did happen. Nic Deslauriers from the Flyers for a conditional 7th. What was the motivation behind it, and how happy are you to add Nick to your franchise?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really high character player who brings toughness and physicality and does things the right way. And we wanted to bring some of that veteran leadership and some of that sort of sense of how to play a high-intensity game into our locker room.
Was there a like tiredness where you were tired of maybe seeing your guys not have the Nic Deslauriers type there to defend them or to help them in certain situations over the last couple of years?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, truthfully, I think toughness is mostly internal. It's about your own ability to decide you're going to stand up for yourself and fight back, not about having someone else there to come do it for you. That being said, it's always nice to have a team that can rally around things together. And he's someone who can bring that element and make it a little bit easier for everyone to stand up for themselves.
That voice you hear is Eric Tulsky on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, joining us here, Carolina Hurricanes GM on the drive. Other than that, there wasn't the big splash move, right? Maybe you've spoiled us from the content perspective the last couple of years, your front office with big moves. But is the lack of a big move, is the message being sent that this version of the Canes good enough to win a cup as they are without the tweaking?
No, I mean, I don't think we have the phrase good enough in our vocabulary as a team. We always want to get better. We are as aggressive as anybody about taking those big swings, finding opportunities to get better. It really just came down to this year. There wasn't a move to be made that we felt like would do that. We have an arsenal of picks, prospects, cap space at our disposal. And the players that we were available, we felt like were not the kind of guys who really make that, huge step forward that we've seen with some of the big moves we've made in the past. And so, sometimes if the move isn't there to be made, you have to just acknowledge that and not try to force it.
How close did you get? Was there anything that got near the goal line on a trade?
I would say not really. The players that we were interested in, we'd be happy to pay through the nose for with futures because they'd make us better in the near term. If it required taking players off our roster that actually make us worse in the short term and long term, then there's sort of no point to doing it. And we went after a lot of different things. There were some that we got some traction on and at least a little bit of progress, but nothing that I think came close to where we had to consider it seriously.
We're talking with Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM. How would you describe the market this year? We saw a lot of defensemen moving. It looks like Kadri may have moved on a buzzer beating move here right before the deadline. Was there maybe more activity in a play, an aisle that you weren't shopping? How would you describe the market?
Yeah, so I think a lot of players moved who would be sort of depth pieces, maybe bottom half of the roster. There was very little available that was the kind of top half of the roster piece that we really covet. It was kind of a strange year in terms of the way things flowed because things are so tight and so many teams are in it that in the week or 2 or 3 leading up to the deadline, there were a lot of teams that still weren't sure which way they were going to go. So there weren't many buyers yet, and there weren't many sellers yet because a bunch of teams were waiting, let's see how the next 3 games go, and then we'll decide. And the last couple of days, all of a sudden, everybody picked a lane, and then things started flowing.
One of the stories of this deadline has been the non-movement clauses and who's willing to waive them and who's not and everything else. And that goes across the league, right? Not specific to your team. But how do you approach checking in on a player if you're interested in them, but, we can all go on the websites and see that they have a non-movement clause? How do you go through that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm talking to another team, I will reach out to the team and ask if it's a player they would be open to moving. And, if I know they have full protection, obviously that includes them having to get permission from their team. From their player. I expect that if we are going to go down the road of negotiating a price, they will have at least some sense of whether the player will move. But you never really know until the deal gets done and the question gets put to the player. And so it's in the player's right to decide at that moment, once he knows what the deal is, once he knows where he's going, once, he can ask questions about what the other options are. It's, it's something he negotiated, is the right to decide whether he's willing to sign up for that.
I'm sure you hear it just like we hear it. We're always entrenched in the Canes fandom, in the Caniacs world, but second line center is something so many of the fans were hoping it could be acquired. Again, is this anything is Logan Stankoven ready to go on a run as a second line center or as that line center for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, I think he's been really good for us this year. I know he doesn't have the top line point total that people want to see. A lot of that is just because he's not playing on our top power play unit. But at 5-on-5, his line's been our best line at creating offense for a lot of the year. And I remember last year in the playoffs, he was really good there too. I know people worry because he's not the tallest guy, but he was really effective in the playoffs last year. And he's such a competitor, and he's so strong and willing to battle. Like, he's not someone I worry about. Of course, we're always looking to get better at every single spot in the lineup. And so, I'm not saying we don't look to improve everywhere. Like I said, good enough is not in our vocabulary, but I do think he has proven that he can handle that role.
I can vouch. The getting better at every position is something you've said in every conversation we've had since you took over for the general manager. So I'm appreciative of that mantra. You brought up that you've been as aggressive as anyone, and you're comfortable chasing those big swings. It does feel like the Eastern Conference is really wide open this year. Does that change maybe how aggressive you are or willing to stand pat when you kind of look around the league and judge that landscape?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to take those swings every year. Like, what determines how aggressive we are is really more about what's available than about who we're competing against. We know if we play our game, we are very tough to beat. And we want to add to that team anytime we can. This year, the big moves were there to be made in the summer. We brought in Keandre, we brought in Nikolai. We took big steps in the summer with those additions. Those same kind of moves weren't there at the deadline this year. So you take it when you can get it, and you have to be willing to say it's just not there when it's not.
Eric Tolsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, here on The Drive on 99.9 The Fan. We haven't gotten the chance to catch up with you since the Brandon Bussey contract extension. But how do you feel about the guys in net, right? When you have Freddie Anderson and now Brandon Bussey under the extension as you move towards the home stretch and obviously the postseason, how do you judge the goalies?
Yeah, we're very happy right now. I mean, Brandon's setting records for winning percentage. It's hard to believe what's going on there. It's like a dream for him and us to see it going as well as it has. And then Freddie, I think, has been playing very well lately. Truthfully, I think all year he's been better than his numbers have given him credit for. He's been put in some bad spots by the team, but he's played through it well, and he's one of the most psychologically sound goalies I've ever seen. He's just very calm and plays through it and has stayed with his game and has been starting to get better results lately.
I kind of breezed through the calling situation. I obviously, everything you've said, you were aggressive and are comfortable being aggressive. But what about the other direction? How much was your phone ringing for people interested in potentially grabbing somebody in your system, whether that be a pick, a prospect, or something that you control the availability of?
Yeah, I would say that happened a little bit. We have a deep enough team that I think people start to look at guys who are at the bottom of our lineup or struggling to get into our lineup and wonder if they can, pry them loose from us. Ultimately, our goal here is to win a cup, and we like the depth that we have. We think that's an important part of what makes us as effective as we are, and it was going to be hard to thin our team out for futures. Our goal is to go the other way and spend the futures to make the team better now. So we didn't get anything that really made sense for us on that front, but yeah, we did get some calls.
We're now an hour and 25 minutes past the deadline, which means we can put all trade deadline stuff behind us and now focus on an Alexander Nikishin extension, correct?
I guess that's the next thing up.
Talk a little bit about his development, right? He's a guy with, we all know, tremendous physical gifts, but for hopefully his long career with the Carolina Hurricanes, how has he been developing into the player that reaches that potential?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He's got incredible physical gifts. The way our team plays is very different from the way people generally played in Russia. And so he has had some things to get used to in terms of the way we gap up through the neutral zone, the way we close out, just the sort of aggressive play all over the ice is something that was not instinctive for him because it wasn't how he had been playing for the last 15, 20 years. And so he's building those instincts. He's getting more and more comfortable with it. He's getting to where he knows what he needs to do instantaneously and is there ahead of time and anticipating. He has all the abilities. It's just a matter of time as he builds those instincts and makes sure it becomes natural to him.
And then similarly, when it comes to development, when you look at the future of the Carolina Hurricanes, where does Bradley Nadeau fit into all of that? Because he's another name that, you know, the value we're not aware of, but we see the AHL stats and they're impressive.
Yeah, he's been great in the AHL. He got a call up early in the year, played a few games, got his feet under him, got a second call up a little later in the year and clearly looked a little bit more comfortable, a little more ready. Went back down and has been great down there. And, I'm sure we'll get him another call up at some point soon and give him a chance to show how his improvement is continuing. And, he has a long and bright future in front of him. And it's just a matter of making sure we give him the right mix of opportunities to keep him on the development path that we want to see him on.
Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM. Eric, we appreciate you. Just a couple more here, I promise, and then we'll let you get back to what I'm sure is a very busy day. This was just while we were talking, brought up to my attention here. Walt Ruff, Canes team reporter, big fan of Walt. So there's something here. I'll let you explain it about potentially Pyotr Kochetkov with the way he's been returning. If you go on a run, being available and potentially ready to rejoin the team at some point this year. Can you just give us the details?
Yeah. So there was a pretty wide spread of possibilities on his injury return timeline when he had his surgery. He has been working incredibly hard and trying to make sure he gives himself the best possible chance to be back as early as possible. At this point in the year, I think we still don't really know what to expect, but it is at least possible that he'll be back for part of the playoffs.
All right, and to end this conversation where we started it, Nic Deslauriers, all right, he joins the team from the Flyers, a conditional 7th-round pick, the compensation, the big trade of the day. When do you expect him to join the team, and maybe for the first time we can see him in a Canes uniform?
Yeah, so he will be coming down here. He won't be able to make it out to the games in Alberta this week. He'll be coming down here and meeting us here. So he'll be here in a day or two, and the team will be back, and he'll get to meet all his teammates and get to work.
All right, now here's the real last one. We've done this with you in the past, but on Carolina Hurricanes game days, when we have a show, we play first goal scorer predictions. Can you give us a prediction for who scores the first one tonight in Edmonton for the Canes?
I don't know. I hate this game. I love all my children equally. You can't make me pick one.
All right. I'm going to try every time. I understand it's putting you in a tough spot, but if we could get Eric Tulsky in the game, it would be fun for us. So I'll ask and then respectfully understand when you decline.
Yeah, someday I'll surprise you with an answer, but for now I'm just going to, I love all my children equally. I can't play that game.
All right, and we appreciate you for joining us and answering all our questions about the deadline. Seriously, get some rest. I'm sure it's been crazy, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Okay, thanks for having me on.
Once again, that is Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM here on the show. Not giving us a first goal scorer, but he did say its potential in the future, and he also gave us a bunch of great insight into how things are going to go and how things went for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'm just going to say what we kind of said earlier, but now we have it straight from the GM's mouth. Wasn't a move to be made. He said that exact, why didn't they? They should have. There wasn't a move to be made.
Yeah, he said they don't want to move someone off their current roster.
If it was going to make him take a step back. Mm-hmm. If there was not a move to be made, there's not a move to be made. Nothing got close. Another thing he said there. So it's hard to be frustrated. Like if you send somebody to the grocery store and say, get a carton of eggs, and they come back and say they were all out of eggs, you don't get mad at the person that went to the store. There was nothing they could have done. They couldn't lay them themselves. You know what I mean? He can't come up with a trade out of thin air. That's just not how it goes. If you can be mad to Eric Tulsky for something, here's what you should be mad about: that he wouldn't give us a first goal scorer prediction.
That's true.
Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't just pick one. They'll be okay. Either way, we do have first goal scorer predictions coming up here in a minute or two. So go ahead and if you haven't already, start thinking about who will score the first goal for the Canes and in what period. Dennis, you were over there taking it in. What's your reaction to, or did anything stand out that Eric Tulsky just gave us as far as insight?
I think the biggest thing was the fact that they did not want to give up anybody currently on their roster. That tells me that people were asking about Alexander Nikishin.
Yep.
And guess what? For all the Canes fans that said he's untouchable, well, guess what your general manager basically just said to us? Yeah, we're not giving that guy up. Again, unless it was a stupid, crazy offer. Unless it was like, again, for like the top end of the NHL, we're not giving up our current guys.
Correct.
So that's that. So Canes fans, rest assured knowing that. It would have to be a big-time offer in order to give up the guys that are currently on the roster. So now you get into, like he said, they're willing to offer futures, which is picks and prospects. Well, if the picks and prospects that the other team wants you don't have available, because let's be honest, the Carolina Hurricanes don't have a lot of 2026 draft picks. Teams that, hey, I want 2026 draft picks. I don't have many to offer. I can give you 27. No, I need 2026 draft picks. So, again, it's all about what the asking price was.
And I would even build off of that a bit further and recognize that there's risk to moves also. Like, their team is good. And you don't upset that just or rock the boat just to rock the boat, only if it significantly raises your ceiling. And if there's no player available that significantly raises their ceiling, like Eric was very adamant. He's an aggressive guy. He likes big swings. He may have even said that exact phrase. I like taking big swings. He's aggressive. He goes after it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, right? You can't, like I keep saying, you can't make it up out of thin air. You can't go find somebody willing to trade you a 50-goal scorer. You can't find somebody willing to trade you a top-line center just because you want to make a splash. Especially you can't find one that wants to trade them for things you have, right? It's, all right, fine. Give us a 24-year-old center in return. And it's like, well, we don't really have that to give up right now, so this is gonna be tough for us. It's difficult. All right, should we open up the phone lines for a little first goal scorer? First goal scorer predictions. 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. Call in now with who scores the first goal for the Carolina Hurricanes and in what period you think they score it tonight in Edmonton as they look to get to the second half. They have tonight and tomorrow to round out their West Coast road trip. 919-860-5326, the number to call. Who scores the first goal for the Canes and in what period? If you call in now, you'll come on through. In the meantime, I'll tell you who everybody at 99.9 The Fan is picking for first goal scorer predictions. Adam from the Adam Gold Show. Jarvis in the first on the power play. Victoria, also from the Adam Gold Show. Aho in the first gives the Jarvis assist in the details. Paul Ihander, host of Next Up with Paul Ihander, weekday mornings 9 to 10. Went with Jarvis in the first as well, said he's flying up the side. There's a pass in front of the net, and he just taps it on home. And Max, the producer of Next Up with Paul Ihander, Max Gorin, our bracketologist, says Robinson in the first, also flying up the wing, and then goes far side high. The extra details beyond player and period, those are just for fun. Those are for extra bragging rights, so you don't need those, but they make everything more fun. Let's go to the call-in line, see what some of the listeners out there are picking. We will start with, great first name, Tim and Zeblin. Tim, welcome to the show. Do all Tims proud, and go ahead and pick the first goal scorer.
Hey there. Yeah, looking at Jarvie, probably on a shorty.
Okay, I don't know if you know our house rules, but we do have a house rule that if you go, first of all, first period, did I hear that?
First period.
All right, and with it being a shorthanded goal, house rule is you have to pick who's in the box.
Let's go. Let's say Jordan Stahl is in the box.
All right.
Holding.
All right, Stahl, a little undisciplined from the captain.
Yeah.
All right, you're locked in with Jarvis in the first, shorty with Stahl in the box. Good luck to you, and we'll see if it happens.
There we go. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That would be like a lotto ticket move if you get that one right. Dave, who is in the car. David, who's in the car in Fuquay. You're up next. Who scores the first goal and in what period?
I say Hall in the first.
All right. Any other details you'd like to add on to that?
I'll be a breakaway like you did a couple games ago.
All right. Hall is buzzing. Appreciate it, and good luck to you on your Hall in the first prediction. And lastly, we have Howard in Raleigh. Howard in Raleigh, go ahead and finish with a bang. Who scores the first goal and in what period?
I think it's Stahl in the first on a redirect.
Stahl in the first on a redirect. That sounds power play-ish. Is it a power play redirect or just straight up even strength?
I don't really care.
Okay. I respect that too. Goals are goals. We'll go ahead and lock you into Stahl in the first on a redirect. Appreciate you for calling in. I don't care. That's beautiful. Dennis, we haven't heard from you yet. Who is your first goal scorer and in what period?
I'm torn.
Okay, let us help you. Talk it through.
I'm torn because Taylor Hall is facing the team that drafted him.
Very true.
Part of me is thinking it's Taylor Hall.
He's taking a circuitous route, whatever that word is.
But I also want to
start there.
I also want to deviate a little bit from the norm and a name we haven't seen hit the goal scoring sheet in a while. Much like we saw Sean Walker score for the first time in a long time. Give me Keandre Miller in the first period.
I assume he in the first and then he also in the second or third, because when he scores two.
It's true, he does.
He doesn't score often, but when he does, he backs it up.
Give me first and third.
All right, there you go. That's almost a house rule. Like if you pick Miller in the first, you have to tell us another period that he also scores in. You look like you had a lot of fun there, going off the beaten path, going to somebody who's maybe a outside the box thought. So I'm also going to go. I'm going Sebastian Aho in the first. Somebody that nobody ever thinks of when they think of Carolina. I'm kidding. But I want this. I want Aho to think like this. Little take that McDavid. Like, I know you're McDavid, but I'm also here. I hope that that attitude comes out and he scores early. So Aho in the first is my pick. I did consider for first goal scorer, just to talk everybody through my thought process. I did consider going like somebody whose name may have popped up in a bunch of trade rumors. Maybe if Kokaniemi draws in, or if Nikishin, something along those lines, where it's like they can kind of exhale, even if it was never going to happen. Just you see your name, you get tense. They can exhale and go play. But then I decided to go Aho, which has absolutely nothing to do with that explanation. Dennis, as always, the listeners, they can join in on the fun by jumping into our YouTube live stream comments and giving us a name and a period, who you think will score the first goal for the Canes and in what period.
We have Jarvis in the first from Tom. We have from Boris as Hall in the second. We also have Coffin Flops, great name. Greasy goal in the first period from Jordan Martinook. We also have, let's see as well, Nikolai Ehlers continues to have an off night but scores first in the first period.
A terrible night. He had a hat trick.
Bad night.
If you don't get that joke, in the post-game last game, he was interviewed. Hannah Yates was interviewing him, and he said he thought he had a terrible game, and he had literally scored a hat trick.
Yes.
Like that, didn't feel like he scored it. He had 3 goals, which is hilarious. I want all of our bad days to be as good as hat tricks.
So we have a Blake in the first. We have a Jankowski in the first. We have a Nikishin's due for a goal.
True. I agree with all that. You know what they say about flipping a coin? Like if you have a tough decision, flip a coin, not to make the decision, but because when it's rotating in the air, you'll know which one you're rooting for. I didn't realize it, but I guess I might go put money on Martinook anytime goal scorer. When you read that, my brain went, "Oh yeah, good pick." I didn't know it, but I might be all in on Martinook scoring tonight. Just a pure gut and aura decision there. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Thank you once again to Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, who jumped on the phone and for a while there broke down all of the decision making that went into the trade deadline for the Canes, in which they came away with Nic Deslauriers, tough guy from the Philadelphia Flyers, and the team that they already had. That's what they're rocking with. Their guys and Nic Deslauriers.
I mean, people wanted toughness and grit. You got it.
Yeah.
I think also we have to remind ourselves of this, is that this team did add this past offseason lot of people are like, oh, you didn't add to the deadline. Like, well, it's not the same team that went into the playoffs last year because he mentioned, well, we did add Nikolai Ehlers. We did add Keandre Miller into the mix. Now you have a Nikishin that's ready to play in the NHL. It's not like you didn't do anything since last playoffs.
Actually, I'm going to save this till after the break because I think it's a longer conversation.
And Bussy.
Don't forget about the bus. And Pyotr Kochetkov might be back. Who knows? That one was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, our reactions to what Eric Tulsky just told us, because, again, I think there's a longer conversation about how he operates as a GM that just played out in real time with the trade deadline. So that coming up next right here on The Drive.
Get crazy, Canes fans. It's hockey night in Carolina. It's your Canes and Edmonton.
They score! Seth Jarvis pointing to the passer.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 8:30. Puck drop at 9.
A chance for they score! A power play goal! And Carolina has got the lead back. Sebastian Aho!
On your official audio home of Hurricanes hockey, 99.9 The Fan.
Hey everybody, Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. Your Friday nights just got a little louder because NBA Happy Hour is live on FanDuel. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, FanDuel is running limited time specials to pregame your weekend. We are talking bonuses, boosts, surprises, all dropping right in the app. And when I dig in on Fridays, I always look to see if Charlotte or San Antonio are playing. That's just me. You do you. It is the perfect way to kick off the weekend. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Get yourself started. Visit FanDuel.com/Paul. That's Paul with a capital P. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free. Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free. Really?
Really. Free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. So Eric Tulsky, Carolina Hurricanes GM, joined our show earlier this hour, and he gave us some insight into the trade deadline decisions that were made by the Carolina Hurricanes. And the nuts and bolts of it, kind of, for me, came out to there weren't a lot of opportunities for him to go do all of the things that we wanted to have happen, right? The market didn't play out in a way where, and when I say we, I mean like the Carolina Hurricanes fan base at large. There weren't a lot of opportunities for him to go add a top six forward, particularly center, particularly right-hand shot for a reasonable price. And reasonable doesn't necessarily mean like a steal, just anything that's not outlandish. Right? Yes, I assume in any league, if you want to give 3 times value for a player, you can go get darn near anyone that's not a franchise legend. But you don't want to do that, right? The thing that I teased before the break is this. Talking with Eric Tulsky there and seeing how he's operated, and talking with Eric Tulsky in the past. He's been on the show a good amount. I get the feeling that he is somebody, and it's not what I expected when he took over the job. He is somebody that wants to land the big fish. He's not interested in, going off the dock and trying to catch a 1 foot, 5 pound fish. He wants to go deep sea, right? He wants to go trolling for 1,000-pound marlin. Like that's what he's trying to go out there with Michael Jordan at the real marlin fishing events, the Black Rock, all those sort of things. But he doesn't force it if it's not there. There's a discipline to being a GM. And I think he looks at the roster now, and it's not perfect. There is no roster that's perfect. And he actually, kind of said that as much, right? Like, we don't care about good enough. We just want to keep getting better, and there's always ways to get better. Like, he was there with it. But I do think he likes most of the guys on the roster a good amount, right? He chose most of the guys on the roster, or they're obvious guys that he would choose if given the opportunity. Like, if he inherited Aho, it's not like, oh, if I were making the decisions. No, like, that's a guy that he likes. So it's almost not worth it to go, change from eggshell white on the walls to cream. You know what I mean? It's not worth it for the small moves. He was chasing something big. And if a market just doesn't exist for those big moves, you can't create them. And we're going to play part of that conversation right there right now for you. It's Eric Tulsky just moments ago here on the show about wanting to make big moves.
I think we want to take those swings every year. Like, what determines how aggressive we are is really more about what's available than about who we're competing against. We know if we play our game, we are very tough to beat. And we want to add to that team anytime we can. This year, the big moves were there to be made in the summer. We brought in Keandre. We brought in Nikolai. We took big steps in the summer with those additions. Those same kind of moves weren't there at the deadline this year. So you take it when you can get it, and you have to be willing to say it's just not there when it's not.
If you look at, and I know that part of this was Don Waddell with Eric Tulsky in a lieutenant position. If you look at the last handful of really big movement opportunities, last offseason, highest paid free agent, Nikolai Ehlers. Another one of the biggest splash moves, Keandre Miller. Previous trade deadline, the two biggest trades of the deadline were Mikko Rantanen to Carolina and Mikko Rantanen out of Carolina. He's a part of both of them. The previous year, Jake Gensel was as big as anything. There's the previous offseason to that was Orlov would have been the highest paid defenseman free agent, if I'm not mistaken there. Like, they've made the swings at the top. So everyone out there that's like, gosh, I wanted the big move. Isn't that kind of Tulsky right there saying, me too? I also want the big move. I want to make those big moves every year if we can. And it wasn't there. It's like he's agreeing with you. It's just it wasn't available. And also there is an acknowledgement that it seems pretty good. Right? There is an acknowledgement that it's we talked about the market, right? I asked him how would he describe the market at the trade deadline this year, and one of the things he said was, it was kind of a unique market because there were a bunch of teams that they weren't clear whether they were buyers or sellers. They still had to decide. So those conversations, cut off. If somebody's an obvious seller, you call them 2 weeks before the trade deadline, and you want to talk about a player. You make a little bit of progress on value. You make a little bit of progress on a potential deal. And then, you know what? All right, let's take a couple days. You call back. It's a week and a half now before the deadline. You make a few more steps. But if you call 2 weeks before and you go like, hey, let's talk, and they go, yeah, we might be buyers. Well, that pretty much shuts down any progress until they reach the point that they decide to sell, and they might not reach that point. It was a weird market this year. And I'm disappointed in that for a few reasons. One, I personally, and I've said this a bunch, I am somebody that leans towards big swings, right? I think you go for it, right? I think when you have a chance to win a cup, you go for it. Some of you may be saying, like, really? You've been defending the other side. I'm also not delusional enough to think that the way I think is the only good way to go, and that like the way I think would guarantee a cup, right? There's no way that guarantees a cup, and every front office in the NHL has smart people within it. So I definitely don't pretend to know hockey roster management more than NHL GMs. But I would favor still, if I were in their position, a big swing as often as possible. Sounds like he would as well, but it couldn't happen. And then, this might be where my personal wouldn't add up. You have to have the discipline to walk away from a move if it's not one that benefits your team. I think I'm somebody that if we got to people always talk about, were you on the 1 yard line on a deal? Were you on the 5 yard line? I think once I get in the red zone, I'm leaving there with a deal. Like I made it this far. I'm finishing it. A disciplined GM would be able to walk away and not force it. And matter of fact, here's Eric Tulsky telling us that you can't force a big deal just a few minutes ago here on the drive.
No, I don't think we have the phrase good enough in our vocabulary as a team. We always want to get better. We are as aggressive as anybody about taking those big swings, finding opportunities to get better. It really just came down to this year. There wasn't a move to be made that we felt like would do that. We have an arsenal of picks, prospects, cap space at our disposal. And the players that we were available, we felt like were not the kind of guys who really make that, huge step forward that we've seen with some of the big moves we've made in the past. And so, sometimes if the move isn't there to be made, you have to just acknowledge that and not try to force it.
That is fair. It's not fun, but it's fair. And it's probably not fun for them. Like when you get into being a GM, when you get into running a team, you're not dreaming of the day you have to walk away from all deals because they're not the right guys. You're dreaming of the day when you close Mikko Rantanen and you get that adrenaline rush. And even though it didn't work out, that's like the fun stuff, right? This year, yeah, they aren't going to force it because the right guys weren't there. Now we get to see how it plays out. Which, by the way, there's no guarantee because they didn't make the moves that they're going to go win the cup either, right? There's only one way to find out, and it's to stick around and watch and be as honest with you can with yourself when you're watching these games. Meaning, if you want them to make a move and they didn't, and they lose, let's say they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? But they play their hearts out, and it comes down to a little bit of puck luck here and there. If you walk away from that screaming like it's because they didn't do this, and in actuality it was like, oh, actually they put themselves in a pretty good situation, and you need a little bit of luck to win the cup. You got to be fair with that as well. But at the same time, if they do get eliminated in the first round because none of their centers can win a face-off, then yeah, we would have to address something else, right? You have to let the actual reality impact how you react to this. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Gosh, it does stink that there was no giant deal available. After hearing him be so willing to, it almost felt like he was itching to move futures, picks and prospects, right?
Oh yeah,
he's a 9-year-old that was given $20 to go to the concession stand, right? You're just like, ooh, how many Skittles am I gonna get? He was just excited to spend picks and prospects, and then he showed up and all they had was healthy snacks. It's like, I'm not spending my 20 on Fig Newtons. I'll just go back.
Banana, really?
Yeah, this is a concession stand. What are we doing here? Bottle of water? No, thank you. I can get that from the fountain. He there wasn't anything to spend it on, but it did seem like he was eager to spend picks and prospects on a dude. There was no one out there with a dude willing to trade him for picks and prospects. And it didn't sound like anything got particularly close either, which would have been nice to hint. Right? 2 days ago, you could have said oh, we're not even in anything big. Would have saved us a lot of stress counting down the minutes to a deadline. I don't even know if he was. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We do have the starting five coming up next. Obviously, more deadline talk, trade deadline that is, and some big college basketball this weekend. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
At some point, it gets to be too good of an offer to pass up on. And I'm just pointing out the fact that if the Jets are insistent on getting a quarterback in this draft, they have all the ammunition they would ever need. They could offer a lot of first-round draft picks, whether it's 3 first-rounders, 4 first-rounders, 5 first-rounders over the next 3 or 4 years. At some point, the Raiders have to say yes.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's bow time, and then there's Bojangler time. You heard right. The Bojangler fish fillet sandwich is back for limited time at participating Bojangles. A light, flaky, perfectly seasoned fish fillet with lettuce, cheese, and tartar sauce tucked inside a bun. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Logan Fury did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he bought a mini treadmill. Is walking on it during video conference calls more distracting than he thought? Yes. And is that because he overestimated his foot-eye coordination? Definitely. But it's Logan's savings, and if he wants to burn calories and any chance at a promotion, we say, good for you, Logan. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
For 2 days only, Bailey's Fine Jewelry invites watch lovers to a can't-miss pre-owned luxury watch event, March 20th and 21st in Raleigh's Village District. Explore hundreds of exceptional Bailey's certified pre-owned timepieces from iconic brands like Rolex, Cartier, and more, expertly curated and available for a limited time. Whether you're a seasoned collector or purchasing your first luxury watch, this is a rare chance to see an unmatched selection in one place. 2 days, hundreds of watches, one destination. Bailey's pre-owned luxury watch event, March 20th and 21st. Learn more at baileybox.com.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Amy Wilmoth. It's warm out there today. Temperatures climbing into the low 80s this afternoon. It stays mild tonight, partly cloudy with lows in the low 60s. Should be a nice day Saturday. A few more clouds around and a small chance for rain with highs in the low 80s.
5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones at the closing bell today down 453 points to 47,501.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is 5 o'clock on a Friday, everybody. So if you work that traditional 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, congratulations. You've made it to the weekend. And thank you for starting your weekend with us here on 99.9 The Fan, specifically The Drive. Every day, every show, I should say, weekdays, at 5 o'clock, we get to the starting 5. And as always, we start with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let's do that hockey.
NHL Trade Deadline was at 3 o'clock today. Number 1 is the Canes' moves, or maybe move and then lack thereof big splashy moves. They did trade a conditional 7th rounder for Nic Deslauriers, who is he's got the 3rd most major penalties of any active player in the NHL. He is a dude that will speak with his fists if he needs to for his team, and that's something that I think the Canes needed, right? I don't think he'll dress that often. I don't think he'll play that much. But when he does, there will be a a role, and I just described it.
You want a toughness and grit? That's Nic Deslauriers.
Toughness and grit.
Yep.
Other than that for the deadline, I can tell you this, and this is good for me. I need to be humbled. Y'all don't listen to me much at all, do you? Because on Wednesday, I started telling you, prepare for the Canes to have done nothing at 3 o'clock on Friday. I wanted you to come to grips with it if they had done nothing. I was like, I'm starting to feel like nothing's going to happen. And then when nothing happened, y'all got very, very, very mad and acted like it was the first time you had ever considered them not trading the world for a top-line center or something like that. The Canes didn't make the big splashy move. They didn't. This time. You know when they did make the big splashy move? Free agency. You know when they did make the big splashy move? When they traded for, and then gave the contract extension to Keandre Miller. When they signed Nikolai Ehlers as the highest paid free agent of the class. Let's pretend like we take all moves. This is actually how you should look at it, by the way. The moment you are eliminated from the postseason or you win the cup, right? Because those are the only two ways a postseason team's career or season can end. The moment you're eliminated from the postseason or you win the cup, your roster is what it is, okay? Consider that your starting point. The finish line is when the postseason starts the next year, right? Because you want your team to be as good as it can possibly be for the postseason. All of the moves you make from the end of your season to the start of the next postseason should be grouped together in a how much did you improve from last year conversation. So at the end of last year, when they were eliminated from the Eastern Conference Finals, they did not have Nikolai Ehlers. They did not have Keandre Miller. They had Alexander Nikishin, but only barely, right? So now they have a full season under his belt, Alexander Nikishin. They did not have Brandon Bussey, who, as you heard from Eric Tolsky and anyone that's talked about Brandon Bussey, is winning games at an astronomical rate. They are point blank, period, no argument, better this year than they were last year when you look at their roster. That's got to be worth something. They might not be better than they were 2 days ago, but they're better than they were when they lost to the Panthers last year. Now, is it better enough? Are they better by a scale to go ahead and make it further and win the Eastern Conference Finals and go and hopefully win the Cup? Only time will tell. But they have improved their roster. I almost, because, right, we hear you. I see you, right? If that's what you want, like, I'll tell you, like, you are heard. I'm seeing everybody that's mean. I'm seeing everybody that's mad. I'm seeing everybody that's throwing everything against the wall. People that are furious that the splash move didn't take place. I hear you. But let's play a thought experiment here. Let's pretend today at noon you got a notification that they traded for Nikolai Ehlers. They added him to the roster. And you got really excited. Because that's a top six forward. That's a speedy puck possession into the offensive zone. That's a good player with a decade of proof positive that he's good. And then at 2 o'clock today, hour before the deadline, you got a notification that they were trading for Keandre Miller. And you went, whoa, I didn't even think they were in the market for a top four defenseman. But goodness, he's 6'5", he's got all these tools. Oh, in this system, once he gets settled in, goodness gracious. Would that be enough? Would then everybody be sitting around getting mad that they didn't make a splash? Because they did. They just did it like 6 months ago. You can't, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. Like, we only have another 55 minutes of the show, and you guys are going to be happy because I'm going to say this until I'm a broken record. You can't make a move if there's no move to make. Matter of fact, let's talk about some of the moves around the NHL. That was number 5 in the starting 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4 all together. What?
The NHL trade deadline, it's not just the Canes trade deadline, it's the NHL trade deadline, came and went at 3 p.m. today. And Dennis and I, this was before we talked to Eric Tolsky last hour and everything else. A good way to think about it is you look at all the other moves that happened, right? All the other trades that happened on a deadline day and say, if you had to throw, we'll just call it something simple, like another third-round pick on top of that package that was paid for a player. So you could outbid them, right? If you called and they said, well, we got this offer and it's the one they ended up accepting, would you be willing to give all of that value and another third? Because that's what it probably would have taken. And if there's a whole bunch of trades that you would have gone, yeah, I'd give all that and a third. I'd give all that and a young player. Then you have the right to be mad, right? Because those deals were out there and available. They were on the market. But if there's not a lot of deals that you would have outbid, quite frankly, I don't know what you have to be upset about. Because if the moves aren't there, they're not there. So, Dennis, give us the highlights of what the trade deadline brought to the NHL, not Canes, right? Everybody else that was at it.
The biggest move of the day was Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames, who did have a partial no-trade list, is going back to the Colorado Avalanche. He's 35 years old, has 3 more years left on his contract. So it's Nazem Kadri and a 4th-round pick in 2027 going from Calgary to Colorado for Victor Olofsson, who's currently on their roster, a young prospect center in Max Curran, as well as a conditional 1st-round pick and a conditional 2nd-round pick. And Calgary, I think, is actually retaining 20% of Kadri's contract going forward. So that's probably the biggest one of the day. So Kadri's contract is really going to count $5.6 million against the cap for Colorado, but you want to talk about like Colorado, for example, a team that has just completely mortgaged their entire future. They have no 1st-round picks now for each of the next 3 years, no 2nd or 3rd this upcoming draft. They only actually have in the next 3 years, they only have 1 2nd-round pick and 1 3rd-round pick. And also, they've completely gutted out pretty much their farm system to win now.
Are you willing to do that? And by the way, the Kadri move did come, like we learned about that well after 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that was down to the wire. So you may not have even had the opportunity to outbid that, right? That one may have been agreed upon at 257, and there's not a lot of time for them to call around and go, can you beat this? It was a
Again, you also gave up a player currently on your roster in Victor Olofsson,
who, by the way, is like no scrub. He from a points production, he's basically Logan Stankoven. 11 goals, 14 assists, and Stankoven is 11 goals and 16 assists. Or similarly, Stahl, right? Stahl's around the same amount of points right there, although Stahl does so much else, and so do so many of the Canes.
You also got older if you're Colorado.
Colorado they're going for it, let's be real. There were moves. There were a lot of defensemen moved around. I don't see a lot of signs that it was anything other than a seller's market. And if you were desperate, you could have gone and spent a ton of money, or I keep saying money, a ton of value, ton of assets, picks, prospects, players, and gotten something. I don't know if that was the best move for the Canes. I don't think it was. Only time will tell. But I don't see any move that I think they should have called up, beaten the offer, won the bidding war, and got the player. And like, if you think they should have, then we might have to agree to disagree on that.
Another big one was Braden Shen going from the St. Louis Blues going to the New York Islanders. So the Islanders gave up Jonathan Drouin, who's a 30-year-old winger who's making $4 million a year. They gave up a young goalie prospect and Marcus Gildoff, as well as a 2026 first-round pick, which actually they got from Colorado as part of the Brock Nelson deal last year. And they also gave up a third-round pick in 2026, which is actually New Jersey's third-round pick as well. But a first, a third, a current player, and a goalie prospect for Braden Shen, who's 34 years old and makes $6.5 million a year.
Also,
and has a couple years left on his deal.
This will be my last, and also. Canes might not like those guys.
There's also that.
They might watch the tape. They might look at the analytics. They might see the player's game and say, not a good fit. Good player for them or good player somewhere else. Not a good fit for us. There are no players in the NHL outside of the ones and they were probably, either holding trophies or playing in the Olympics. The names. There are very few that just everybody is universally like, that's an awesome player I would love to have on my team. So maybe they just, didn't like him. Maybe they have somebody as a double secret agent out there, right? A friend from back in the day you call up that said, yeah, he's good, but he's slowing down. Yeah, he's good, but he's not what he used to be. He gets by on blah, 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 blah. That might be enough to say no. That's number 4. How about number 3?
1, 2.
McNeil Jr., 2 seconds on the shot clock. 1. Presto. Just because you know don't mean you can stop it.
So how about it, though? NC State, men's basketball. Stanford, tomorrow, 2:15. Here's how I can describe this game. For State, the importance of. They've lost, 5 of their last 6 of their last 7. The only win amongst that group, the win over Carolina, who didn't have Henry Vasar or Caleb Wilson. Blowout losses to a bunch of good teams and heartbreaking losses to some bad teams. Or a bad team. Miami's pretty good. We have our own bracketologist here, which I appreciate. His name's Max Gorin. Produces Next Up with Paul Ihander. Over the last few days, I've asked him a few times bracketology questions, and one of them is just simply, like NC State, how worried should they be about getting in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think they should be worried.
And I can tell you exactly what has gone on with Max. Max will go, they don't have to worry now. If they lose to Stanford and they lose their first ACC tournament game, you can see the seriousness in Max's eyes. He's like, then you're going to be sweating on Selection Sunday. So, it was by the way, if they lose to Stanford and they lose their first ACC tournament game. It would be much less stressful if they eliminate the possibility of losing to Stanford and losing their first ACC tournament game by beating Stanford, right? And then you eliminate that possibility. And I'll build off of that a little bit because this is the conversation I had with Max. As much as it's become about the metrics, right? And we hear so much about KenPom and Torvik and net ranking and Evan Mia and all of these different whatevers. The committee is still human, right? And they need to be, because they need to be able to say, this team dealt with an injury to their best player for 8 games, and this team plays a tougher strength, whatever. This team figured something out. If you are on just an absolute opposite of a hot streak to end the season, that will hurt the narrative, and they are humans in there. But if you just a win to end the season, right? So when they're looking at your schedule, it doesn't go red L, red L, red L, red L, red L. If it just goes red L, red L, red L, red L, green W, it just makes it feel better. It's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. It just makes it a little bit more palatable to say, yeah, put them in the tourney and put them on the 9 seed, right? Just makes it a little bit better. So it is a massively important game against Stanford tomorrow. Massively important. Do we have, there we go. So that is number 3, correct? Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us. Now here's Ehlers. He scores! And that spot high glove. There's a bullseye, and the Canes have nailed it twice. It's a 3-2 lead on Nikolai Ehlers. 17th of the season.
Carolina Hurricanes tonight. 9 p.m. Eastern Time puck drop. Game will take place at Edmonton. Now, obviously, when you're playing Edmonton, there's certain things that just hang over that game, and one of them is named Connor McDavid. And he has 105 points, 35 goals, and 70 assists. That's insane. But also, even with that, Edmonton is nothing outrageous this year, right? They are 3rd in the Pacific, and to put that in perspective, There's not a single team in the Pacific Division, if they were in the Eastern Conference, would be in the playoff picture. I believe the leader of the Pacific is 72 points, and the final playoff wildcard team in the East is 73 points. So, and I actually can confirm that with, Pacific, 72, I was right. Vegas Golden Knights, 72 points, lead the Pacific, and the Boston Bruins, who are the last wildcard team in the East, as it stands right now, 73 points. So, take everything with that context. Also, the Canes have been, and I'm not saying this as a insult, they've been a little helter-skelter, a little all over the place since returning from the Olympics. A little chaos, a little back and forth, good games, bad games, good performances, bonehead errors, which you could attribute to like that trade deadline kind of bearing down on you, right? There's always the feeling of, are we here? Am I gone? Is my best friend going to be traded? Maybe tonight they iron that out. But as always, Dennis, putting you on the spot. 9 p.m. puck drop, Canes at Edmonton. If blank happens, then the Canes get the W.
If the Canes don't give up a power play goal tonight. We're talking about one of the best power plays in the entire league. Actually might be the first one overall in Edmonton. And it's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and those guys. If they don't score on the power play, I like your chances of winning.
By the way, they are first.
Oh, okay.
And
nailed it.
32.9% on the power play.
That's insane.
Which is basically 3% better than anyone else. Dallas at 30. Nobody else above 26%. So even what Dallas is doing is kind of crazy. But what Edmonton is doing is 3% better than them. Which actually might obviously penalty kill important. You know what else is important? Not taking dumb penalties. For all those first goal scorer predictions that we heard about shorthanded goals, I don't know if you want to even be in the position to be shorthanded goals. Just stay out of the box. No dumb penalties. Also, Dennis, I'll put you on the spot one more time. The Canes have a back-to-back to end the road trip here. They're at Calgary tomorrow. Again, late-night puck drop, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So Edmonton, it's about not giving up power play goals. Same thing. If blank happens, then the Canes get the win tomorrow at Calgary.
I think if you show up against Calgary and play the game, you should win the game because of all that they've gotten rid of over the last few days. I mean, that roster's depleted.
Second half of a back-to-back, fourth of a long road trip. So, it's not like you absolutely buried Vancouver, who is...
No.
I mean, I don't know if they needed to trade anybody away to be a game where hopefully if you show up and play your game, you'll win. So there you go. There's some Canes insight there. Again, the trade deadline, Nic Deslauriers, the only player acquired, and it was for a conditional 7th. Kind of a tough guy from Philly. He is not expected to join the team on this road trip, so he'll be waiting in Carolina for them to return after those 2 games. And we heard that straight from the GM's mouth. Eric Tulsky told us earlier today. So no newbies, and even if he were there, I doubt he would draw into the lineup.
I don't know.
Newbies for the Canes.
Maybe he dresses against Pittsburgh. Why not?
Just to...
Hey, man, welcome.
Just to put the jersey on?
Why not?
Put the sweater on? Yeah, potentially. But also, we know why he's here, and I don't know if you want that against Pittsburgh. It's like, well, I'm here. Should I do what I do? Mm-hmm. Should I do what I do? Whoa. I mean, we just wanted you to get some skating in.
You will have to play him at some point, at least a couple times, because you still need him to get familiar with your system.
Correct.
Like that, he still does need to play at some point.
Correct. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And we'll see. But I also think you might want to get him a week or 2 of practice before you do that to get him used to your system. There's not a lot of time left, though.
There's not a lot of practice time that's left either.
That's true. Or morning skates might be the way to describe
exactly.
that.
But you got to get him in at some point.
Yeah, I agree. And there's not a ton of games left. What are we, 22? 22 games left? 23 including tonight? Something like that?
I think it's less than that.
You're right, because it was 25 after the break, and they've played 4. Mm-hmm. So 21 including tonight. Goodness. That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Go one! Rebound chased down by Wilson. Doesn't have the numbers. The freshman going to go anyway. and holy smokes, he just sunk their battleship with that one.
UNC at Duke. Carolina at Duke tomorrow, 6:30. With no Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson, for those of you that haven't heard, and we're not booing Caleb Wilson, we're booing in support of Caleb Wilson.
We're booing the fact that he can't play.
We're booing the injury gods. Caleb Wilson was already dealing with a fractured left hand from a handful of weeks ago, but he was on the mend. He was on the way back. There was a chance, a small chance, according to those that would know, that he could play tomorrow against Duke. That small chance was eliminated when in practice this week during a non-contact drill. He broke his thumb on the other hand. So his right thumb he broke in a non-contact drill. Season-ending surgery. So now what was let's count down the days until Caleb Wilson returns, that count just became indefinite. He will not be back, and that is what we were booing. We were booing how awful that is for the player. I've said this a bunch of times today, but I'm going to keep saying it. He did everything right. And by right is even maybe the wrong way. He did everything the way I would hope athletes would treat college basketball that are in his situation. Right? There's no right or wrong. I'm not gonna be the old man yelling at the new kids for being motivated by different things. But for everybody that loves college basketball for the nostalgic reasons, for guys that were playing and rivalry games were the most important thing to them, and putting on the team colors mean something to them, and you know they're going to be saying "we" when talking about the team for the rest of their lives. He was doing it that way. He wasn't, his recruiting didn't seem to. I'm sure there were NIL discussions, but it didn't seem to be highest bidder. That's where I'm rolling, and I'll play until it doesn't benefit me anymore to play, and then I'm going to stop playing. Or if I feel a twinge in my calf, I'm done for the year. No, he broke his hand. He fractured his left hand. He got it taped. He went back out there and fought to the end of that game. Then they said, well, your hand's broken. You're going to have to sit out. And he was working, all right? Immediately, he was on social media saying, it's not over. He was going to come back. He was going to do everything he could to help his teammates. And then this other injury happens, and he won't get the chance. But it did feel different than the way a lot of other top NBA prospects have dealt with their seasons, and for that reason, I'm bummed for him. I'm bummed for Carolina because it lowers their ceiling significantly. They've dealt with a lot of adversity this year. Seth Trimble missed a month. Henry Vasar missed time. Caleb Wilson missed time. And they had found a way to have the double bye in the ACC tournament. Right, they had found a way to be 24-6 with wins against Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Virginia on the road. Not two against Virginia, but the one against Virginia on the road. They found a way to put together a really good season. They will not get to see what their season would have ended like at full strength, which is a bummer. I say all of that to then also say this: in rivalries, Duke ain't gonna give me any sympathy. Right, the spread at last I checked was 17.5. It's still 17.5 Duke favored over Carolina, and Duke still wants their revenge for that game they lost earlier this year, whether Caleb Wilson is in the lineup or not. And Duke is really good. They're really good. The 17.5 is not just because Caleb Wilson is not playing. Now maybe half of it is, but Duke still would have been favored by a bunch. They're a really good team. Cam Boozer is one of just a couple of freshmen in the country that can realistically say, even when fully healthy, was more impactful and more productive than Caleb Wilson had been this year. So there's a lot of rivalry stuff that will still settle in this one. 6:30 tomorrow. And you're also going to get just the desperate Carolina rivalry game that you always expect from Duke. And you're going to get the same vice versa. So it's as much as you can simulate a tournament game as you can, right? The desperation and the win at all costs and everything else. It's special. We all know it. We'll watch. And there will be moments when you're going to say, darn, it would have been awesome if Caleb Wilson was here. But there's also going to be moments when you forget he's not there and you just enjoy some rivalry basketball. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We do have to grab some numbers game contestants. It is your last day to potentially win Hank Williams Jr. tickets. But before we do that, Dennis wants to tell you something.
I do. Dennis Cox here real quick for Law Tigers. Speaking about winning, if you haven't entered for your chance to win a Canes custom motorcycle, what are you waiting for? The Law Tigers are once again teaming up with your Carolina Hurricanes to give one lucky Caniac a custom Canes Ducati motorcycle, courtesy of Art Moto Garage and Shiny Side Paint. Simple to enter. You just go to caniacsbike.com, folks. It really is that easy. It literally just takes a minute. You could do it on your phone. Don't do it while you're driving. But you could do it on your phone. You could do it on your laptop, your tablet. It doesn't matter. It's real simple. Just go to caniacsbike.com. You'll see pictures of the bike right there. If you want to see it in person, if you're out and about enjoying this wonderful weather, just swing by Art Moto Garage. They're located right here in Raleigh, just right on the edge of downtown, and go see the bike for yourself. You'll fall in love with it. I promise. Custom Canes painted motorcycle. It's a V4 Ducati. No detail missed. It's an absolutely gorgeous bike. Bike will be given away on April 4th, so we're talking less than a month away. April 4th, the bike will be given away live at the game on the ice, and it includes tickets to a catered suite as well. But the deadline to enter, it's March 29th, just a few weeks away. caniacsbike.com. Enter for your chance to win. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, needs numbers game contestants. 2 of them. Call in now, 919-860-5326 to play the numbers game. The prize for today, Hank Williams Jr. tickets, a pair of tickets to see Hank Williams Jr. at Coastal Credit Union Music Park in Raleigh on Saturday, June 20th. So if you want to see Hank Jr., got to call in and win. Got to play the numbers game. 2 contestants, 919-860-5326. Numbers game next.
Listen for the Get That Out of Here's.
Rejected! Cameron Boozer got a piece! Get that out of there!
The deep looks from downtown.
Arsenault, pull up 3, top of the arc. Buries it!
They got postered.
Shot is up, missed, hammer time! Put back jam by Lubin!
The road to Indianapolis runs through 99.9. The Fan, driven by Fast Park and Relax, Chapel Hill Tire and Roof Works.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or price stopped, opt out.
Hey man, how did the date go?
I had to cancel. I don't get paid until Friday.
You didn't know that you can get up to a $750 paycheck advance with the current app?
Where was that information yesterday?
Just text them, see if you qualify. $750? Boom! And right now, they're offering a $75 bonus when you set up an eligible direct deposit.
Think I should call her back?
Yeah.
Need money before payday? Current has you covered. Set up an eligible direct deposit to see if you qualify for a paycheck advance of up to $750. Hurry and receive an extra $75 sign-up bonus right now. Text WORTH to 323232. That's WORTH to 323232. WORTH to 323232.
Paycheck advance is offered by FindCo Advance LLC, a financial technology company, not an FDIC-insured bank. Eligibility and available amounts may vary and are subject to change at any time. For full terms and conditions, visit current.com/radio or call 1-888-851-3177 for more information.
Life's great stories are built on yes and. Yes to the big game and the private suite. Yes to the beach and sailing offshore. Yes to traveling the country and exploring new ones. With the new Millionaire for Life from the North Carolina Education Lottery, you can say yes to $1 million now and every year for a lifetime. Millionaire for Life. Winning is just the beginning. Drawing 7 days a week. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 8.47. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. And as always, when we play the numbers game, we have a great prize. A pair of tickets to see Hank Williams Jr. when he comes to the area this June. And as always, when we play the numbers game, we have 2 great contestants. For today, that is Adam in Apex and Patrick in Durham. We'll bring each of them onto the show, ask them the same question. Dennis will then pick his favorite answer, and that person will get to go first. We'll start with Adam in Apex. Adam, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. The question for today is, with it being a Friday, everybody's looking towards the weekend. What are you most looking forward to about this weekend? But because we're a sports show, make sure you keep it sports related.
College lacrosse games.
I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't quite hear it.
College lacrosse games on Saturday.
Oh, college lacrosse season. You might be playing immediately to the judge's hands here.
Which game?
Okay.
Hughes versus Hopkins.
Hughes versus Hopkins, okay.
That sounds like a pretty big lacrosse game from somebody that is a very casual fan. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick in Durham. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, same question to you. It is a Friday. Everybody's looking towards the weekend. What are you looking forward to most about the weekend? But because we're a sports show, make sure you keep it sports related.
Duke's revenge on UNC.
All right, Duke's revenge. Locked in. Dennis, this is going to be tough for you.
It really is.
Because one is playing right into like your history. You'd been a college lacrosse
that
head
too.
Coach. I was going to go college lacrosse head. Never mind. Hughes versus Hopkins was the specific answer from Adam. But Patrick then went more local, and traditionally you lean local. So he went with Duke getting revenge against Carolina in the Battle of the Blues tomorrow at 6:30.
So here's the thing. Adam, if Adam had said if he was looking forward to the Carolina Brown game, which yours truly is going to be doing play-by-play for that game tomorrow.
I didn't know that. Congrats.
So if you would have said that one, that would have won it for you. But you didn't. You went for the out-of-town game in Hughes Hopkins, which will be a good game, let's be honest.
It's not like he picked a sleeper.
No,
like
he did
Hughes
not.
Hopkins.
He did not. But it's Duke Carolina. Come on. It's
all right. Duke
Carolina.
Duke Carolina. Patrick gets to go first. Adam, don't worry. You'll have your chance. Just have to sit on hold for a minute. Patrick, are you ready to pick a category?
I am.
All right. The categories are NFL Panthers throughout history. NFL, Y, like the letter Y, is somewhere in their first name. NBA, current NBA players with early March birthdays, or NHL Hurricanes throughout history?
NBA players.
All right, NBA players that are currently in the league and have early March birthdays. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. There will be 30 seconds on the clock, one pass if you need it. Do you have any questions before we get started?
I don't.
All right, then your time will start as soon as you hear the horn. Zach LaVine, Sacramento Kings.
7.
Incorrect. Marcus Smart, Los Angeles Lakers.
5.
Anthony Davis, Dallas Mavericks.
3.
Correct. Walter Clayton Jr., Memphis Grizzlies.
1.
Incorrect. Zach LaVine, Sacramento Kings.
30.
Incorrect. Marcus Smart, Los Angeles Lakers.
3.
Incorrect. Walter Clayton Jr., Memphis Grizzlies.
10.
Incorrect. Zach LaVine, Sacramento Kings.
13.
Incorrect. Marcus Smart, Los Angeles Lakers.
4.
Incorrect. You did get one, though. You got Anthony Davis to avoid the shutout. For those of you playing at home, LaVine, 8. Marcus Smart with the Lakers, 36. And Walter Clayton Jr., number 4 with the Grizzlies. But like I said, you did get Anthony Davis, so there's one. Stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up.
Sounds good.
All right, that brings us to Adam. Adam, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, the categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL Panthers throughout history, NFL players with the letter Y somewhere in their first name, or NHL players, Hurricanes throughout history.
Hurricanes, please.
All right, I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. There'll be 30 seconds on the clock, one pass if you need it. I will say the team in this category, even though you know it, just to keep it fair timing-wise with the other categories. And you do need at least 2 for the win, but keep going for the perfect score, even if you get 2, because there's other benefits that come with that. Any questions before we get started?
No.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Taylor Hall, Carolina Hurricanes.
71.
Correct. Jordan Martinook, Carolina Hurricanes.
48.
Correct. Brian Allen, Carolina Hurricanes.
28.
Incorrect. Spencer Martin, Carolina Hurricanes.
38.
Incorrect. Brian Allen, Carolina Hurricanes.
Pass.
Max Lajoie, Carolina Hurricanes.
89.
Incorrect. Spencer Martin, Carolina Hurricanes.
32.
Incorrect. Brian Allen, Carolina Hurricanes.
56.
Incorrect. You know, I told you to get 2 because that's what you needed for the win, and you said, I will get exactly that and no more, sir. You got the 2 you needed. Congratulations. You win the tickets to see Hank Jr.
Thank you.
All right, stay on the line. Dennis will grab the info he needs to make sure you get your prize. For those of you playing at home, Taylor Hall, 71 was correct. Martinook, 48 was correct. He got both active players. Brian Allen, number 5 is what we were looking for. Spencer Martin and net, we were looking for 41. And Max Lajoie, we were looking for 42 was the number we were looking for. So, again, he gets the win. Adam, college lacrosse fan. Now you guys can go talk lacrosse while Dennis gets the info he needs. Talk about.
We'll discuss the intricacies of a 10-man ride.
Cradles. Ground balls, face-offs, yeah. Goalies, yeah. Long stick midi. Throwing every word I know out there. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. You would think that I have never done play-by-play for lacrosse, but I did once upon a time, and it was not good. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's give you a quick update. Let's talk about the actual move that did happen today for the Carolina Hurricanes. I can tell from everybody's reaction on social media and in our YouTube live streams and everything else that most of the Carolina Hurricanes fans are upset that a big splash move didn't happen, right? It's all about what didn't happen. Let's talk about what did happen. They traded for Nic Deslauriers from the Flyers, and it's low cost, right? A conditional 7th round pick to bring in Nic Deslauriers. This is something Canes fans have been clamoring for. Edge, toughness, somebody that can have the Stars' backs when it gets a little chippy, right? When the extracurricular activities start breaking through. It's a deterrent more than anything, right? It is a freeing of the players who we all know, right? The big names that play all the important minutes and have to make the biggest plays for the Canes can now be more aggressive. This is at least what I believe the idea of bringing Nic Deslauriers in is. Can now be more aggressive. They can be more physical. They can take more chances with the understanding that if the opposing team takes it the wrong way and wants to do something about it, they know that if they do something about it, they'll eventually have to answer to Nic Deslauriers. Right? It's a deterrent, right? We've all seen it, right? It's the cliche in the movies where the bad guy. Actually, you know what? I'll use a cinematic classic as the example. Happy Gilmore, the original, not whatever that nonsense is that came out. Happy Gilmore 2. The original Happy Gilmore, when Shooter McGavin is facing away from the crowd, right? And takes a shot, whatever he does, and somebody's talking behind him, and he turns around, posturing as if he's going to do something. And then he sees Happy Gilmore's old boss, the guy that's like 7 feet tall with the nail in his head, and he's like, "Is that so? My God!" Right? He was going to do something about it. He was going to retaliate. He was going to maybe try to big-time somebody or get chest to chest until he saw somebody that he feared, and then, oh, my God, and he just went about his day. Right? So if Svetch, if Aho accidentally or takes a chance and does something where the opposing team wants to get physical, they turn around and you know what? Oh, my God. That's Nic Deslauriers, right? He's the guy that's like, I was going to get physical. I was going to get in your face. But with him standing in the corner over there, I'm not going to. Suddenly, I'm okay with the events that transpired. Now, will everybody bail? No. But then Deslauriers will have to go, back it up. And it might not be that game. He might not be dressed that game. It might be the next one. It might be the next time they play. It might be. It might be. So keep that in mind. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Another thing for all of you to keep in mind is Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Whether you are in the market for a daily driver, as they call them, right? A watch that you can wear every single day, something that fits everything, maybe a sport watch, maybe you have something on a rubber strap or a leather strap, or if you're in the market for that special occasion watch, right? That, hey, I'm trying to impress. Hey, I'm going to the boardroom to talk to the big dogs. Hey, I've got a wedding. Hey, I've got a night out. And you want that platinum bracelet on it, right? Whether it's a pre-owned or vintage Rolex, you're talking Omegas, you're talking Norcanes, pre-owned vintage Cartiers, Blancpain, Glacé Original, some of the best, coolest, and most exciting watches in the world are available right here at Bailey's Fine Jewelry in the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. So go try them on. Feel the power of putting on one of those watches, those icons, and see if it's right for you. The Fox and Bailey Watch Shop and the Omega Boutique are located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location. So I encourage you to check it out. When you do stop out at their Village District location, make sure they know you heard about it from me, Tim, right here on 99.9 The Fan. Support those that support the show. We would be greatly appreciative of it. There's only one thing left to do here today on a Friday. I know it's been a busy Friday, but we still have to end it the right way, and that's by making picks and sending you into the weekend. So we will be back right here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan after this. And now I'll let you in behind the curtain a little bit here. I don't know what's going on that phone in the producer's room, but Dennis is feeling it. He is going through something right now. I don't know if it's hard to find the info for the giveaway.
So actually, Adam, the guy that just won,
yep,
he and I actually played in a lacrosse tournament about 20 years ago up together in Lake Placid, New York.
Look at that. It is a small world.
Yeah.
Who won? Did you play against each other?
No, we were on the same team.
Oh, you actually know him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We played together.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, small world.
Tell Adam we said hi, and what position did he play?
You're a midfielder, right? Yeah, he was a midfielder. I knew
All
it.
right, yeah, sounded like a midfielder when I talked to him. We'll be right back after this making some picks.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
At some point, it gets to be too good of an offer to pass up on. And I'm just pointing out the fact that if the Jets are insistent on getting a quarterback in this draft, they have all the ammunition they would ever need. They could offer a lot of first-round draft picks, whether it's 3 first-rounders, 4 first-rounders, 5 first-rounders over the next 3 or 4 years. At some point, the Raiders have to say yes.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This is the sound of Jack buzz cutting his way to a small fortune. To Jack, every time he cuts his own hair, that's $50 right in his pocket. If Jack sees DIY buzz cuts as a saving strategy, Wells Fargo is right behind him. And with their mobile app, tracking his savings is easy. Oh, ouch. However you make money work, we can work with that.
Mobile carriers' message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
With the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's bow time, and then there's Bojangler time. You heard right. The Bojangler fish fillet sandwich is back for limited time at participating Bojangles. A light, flaky, perfectly seasoned fish fillet with lettuce, cheese, and tartar sauce tucked inside a bun. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Few things to remind you about. First, Carolina Hurricanes do play tonight. It's not quite as late as the late couple, but it's still a late night tip, or a puck drop, I should say. 9 o'clock puck drop, which means 8:30 Storm Watch with Adam Gold. They are out in Edmonton facing Connor McDavid and the Oilers. So that can be heard right here on 99.9 The Fan. And as I said, Adam Gold, Storm Watch, half hour prior to puck drop at 8:30. Tomorrow, it'll be a 10 o'clock puck drop at Calgary. Same deal, half hour before Adam Gold and Storm Watch. Also, if you're a big Canes fan and you're looking for something to do, something to help you kill some time as you wait for the game tonight, head to our app, 99.9 The Fan. If you haven't downloaded it, please do. It is in the Google Play and App Stores, completely free to you. Or head to our YouTube, 99.9 The Fan, and subscribe while you're there. There's a pretty good in-depth conversation. I thought he was very open. Eric Tulsky, the Carolina Hurricanes GM, joined us. So you can catch that one in all of those locations, or just hang around till 6 o'clock here. We'll replay it during Overdrive.
It's already up on our YouTube.
So Eric Tulsky with insights into why they didn't make the big splash. Maybe it wasn't their choice. Maybe it wasn't a big splash to make, but you can hear it straight from him in our app, on our YouTube, or at 6 o'clock being replayed here on 99.9 The Fan. With all of that now said, let's send us into the weekend the only way we know how on the drive, and that's by making some picks. All right, Dennis, what are we picking?
Let's go to said Canes game tonight. Canes at the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I like the Canes in this one.
You do?
I think that they hopefully will have a more settled. We're spoiled by the Canes and that the way they play and their guys, it's so much two-way hockey and everything, that we very rarely get stretches that are as scatterbrained as maybe they have been recently. Take a 3-goal lead, give a 3-goal lead back. There's all this kind of craziness they've had, but usually they snap out of it. We've seen it earlier this year, right? The Florida swing, but then they snapped out of it. Hopefully they can snap out of it today with some of the chaos of a deadline in their rearview mirror. With that being said, though, Edmonton still has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and they're still Edmonton, so there's a lot of ways where they could score. Give me a 4-3 close, hard-fought win for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay. Let's see. The Carolina Hurricanes, they actually are favored by 1.5 goals in this one.
Look at that. I should be a bookmaker.
But the money line, it's -115 for the Canes, -105 for the Edmonton Oilers. So essentially a pick'em game in terms of
pretty darn close. Maybe I shouldn't be a bookmaker.
Yeah. Over/under is 6.5. -142 for over 6.5. So your 4-3 score is actually right in line.
Look at that. Me and DraftKings, we are mind
guys are just right on top of it. All right, next game. Let's go tomorrow to the Carolina Hurricanes. They take on the Calgary Flames tomorrow evening. Let's see if I can find an early line on this one. The Carolina Hurricanes are 1.5 goal favorites, -170 on the money line in Calgary. Second of a back-to-back.
Yeah, second of a back-to-back, fourth in a pretty tiring road trip. A lot of West Coast travel up there in Canada and everything. Kadri's gone, right? Kane, I almost put it this way: Kane's better win. Unless the scatterbrainness continues, they should win. So, Canes 4-1. I wish I knew. Do we know who they didn't morning skate today? So
no, they didn't skate today.
But I assume it'll be a Freddie game. Do we know if they're going back and forth, Freddie and Bussy?
I would assume so.
And then tomorrow would be Bussy. So yeah. I hope you get a good confidence-building Bussy win against Calgary. 1 goal allowed would do that. So 4-1, Canes over Calgary.
Something we never actually talked about today regarding the Carolina Hurricanes, real quick. You gotta wonder how much of a sigh of a relief it might be for those guys to know that, hey, they didn't send away any of us from our locker room.
Oh yeah,
don't want to say bye to anybody.
When I talk about them kind of settling and not being as scatterbrained, that's a big part of it. Is I don't have to say goodbye to anybody, right?
Or you yourself have to pack.
Well, yeah, that's
go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm here, but even there are certain players on the Canes that are pretty darn confident they're not going anywhere. But even they would probably be a little up in hey, this is my buddy, right? This is my friend. This is my guy. like Seth Jarvis is likely going nowhere, but it's pretty obvious that he's pretty good friends with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, right? So like he might be sweating out a deadline anyway, even though like he's going nowhere. So hopefully, and every team's dealing with that to an extent, but hopefully they do settle down a little bit now, and I think that would be a big part of it. And it'd be nice for them to get back-to-back wins and a back-to-back and kind of, power into the teens as far as games remaining on the season. 21, including tonight, allowed. After their back-to-back, you'll be down there, right? So I agree with you that you're looking around and going, this is who we're rolling with. I think that's a powerful moment in professional sports when you pass the deadline and you look around the locker room and go, all right, let's see, close the submarine doors, right? If you're not in, you're not in, and if you are, there's no leaving. We're in this thing to the end together. It's a powerful moment.
All right, let's go to the hardwoods. At NC State tomorrow, the Stanford Cardinal visit. NC State at home, 8.5-point favorites over Stanford. Both 19 and 11 19 and 11 overall in the season. Stanford 8-9 of the ACC. NC State 10-7.
I'm taking a desperate, hopefully, State team to win. You said 8.5?
8.5.
I'm not taking 8.5. I'll have them to win, but not cover. They win by 5, but have to make free throws to make it that at the end. Stanford has some pop. They're a little streaky, but they can score. And State has a history of making the opposing team's best shooters look like prime Ray Allen, Steph Curry. So if Stanford gets going, it could be a tough game.
That it could be. All right, other final games in the ACC this weekend, including a sneaky important one for Virginia Tech. UVA at home against the Hokies. Virginia 11.5-point favorites at home. Noon tip-off at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville.
John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. That's your neck of the woods.
It is.
Your original neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm. Actually, John Paul Jones was built after I left.
Oh, well, then.
It was like University Hall back in the day.
You remember the location? I remember that parking lot it used to be. Or was it actually
no,
in that
it's
same
still
spot?
there. It's still there.
It's got to be Virginia, right? They're good and they're playing for something real. Virginia Tech's on the bubble though. They might need a handful of wins, either against Virginia or in the ACC tournament to squeak into the big tournament, which would be good for the ACC. I think Virginia wins, but I wouldn't be against a close game for Virginia. That could be considered a close loss for Virginia Tech, which could be considered a good loss for their resume, which could help the ACC.
All right, next one up here. Let's go right to the big one. Number 17, Duke on the road travels to Cameron Indoor Stadium to take on number 1, Duke. Duke, 17.5-point favorites at home against the Tar Heels. Again, no Caleb Wilson. He was questionable to play anyway before he broke the thumb on his right hand after already injuring his left. He's done for the season, thumb surgery, so he's out. That's guaranteed. But nonetheless, 17 Carolina, number 1 Duke, 17.5-point favorites are the Blue Devils.
Caleb Wilson leads them in points. He leads them in rebounds. He is
and energy.
Their emotional leader. He and Kyan Evans, I believe, both are 2.7 assists per game. So you could argue he's their best scorer, passer, and rebounder. And he's out. And he might have been out anyway, but he's out. 17.5 is gargantuan. I don't think I would ever take a 17.5-point spread in this rivalry. So I'll put it this way. I'm taking Duke. I'm taking Duke to win by double figures. I'm not betting my own money on a 17.5-point spread in a rivalry game. If Carolina makes it a game with the 1-game bump, kind of a little like win this one for Caleb, and he's on the sideline giving him energy, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm still taking Duke to win the game. They're for my money, the best team in the country right now. All right, Dennis, let me put you on the spot here.
Okay.
What Carolina Duke? How do you see it going?
I hate to say it. I don't think it's close now. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Duke wins this
20?
one. I think Duke wins this one by 19.
Right.
I think this is a Duke wants payback for the last one. Again, there's no Caleb Wilson. You bury the wounded animal.
Since the first Carolina game, Duke has been shooting the three much better. Specifically, Isaiah Evans has been shooting the three much better. If they shoot the three well, they're very, very, very difficult to keep it close against.
81-62, Duke wins this one.
81-62, I believe
19.
that would hit the over.
It would.
So if you're into gambling, you can take that, which you will.
The over-under is 145.5, so 81-62 actually would be slightly under.
Never mind.
143.
So don't trust me to do on-air math. You can take that to the bank.
That's why I'm here.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. To start Overdrive, you'll hear our conversation from earlier in the 4 o'clock hour with Carolina Hurricanes GM Eric Tolsky. A lot of insight into the hows and whys the trade deadline went down the way it did for the Carolina Hurricanes, so enjoy that. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the college basketball and hockey. See ya.
Do you have a smartphone? Of course you do. Do you have a pocket or pouch or human hand to hold your smartphone? Then you have no excuse. Download the 99.9 The Fan brand new app today and take us with you wherever you go. Your favorite hosts, podcasts, and live sports action all in one place. Available for Apple iPhone and Android phones. Finally, there's an app for 99.9 The Fan. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today. Powered by Aspire Money Management.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more. Let Loan Pronto tap the equity in your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto. In a matter of days, they had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact and didn't even need an appraisal. With all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com. Their rapid equity loan program can get you $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it, consolidated all their high interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine, pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier, get your life back. Interest rates are at a 3-year low. Call Loan Pronto, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Wendy's has a new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mints cookie pieces, rich creamy frosty, and a mint chocolate cookie sauce. Which means Girl Scout Thin Mints and Wendy's Frosty, yeah, they're basically best friends now. It's like 2 delicious desserts just high-fived, snapped a few too many friendship selfies, and then rode a tandem bike down a never-ending road of mint chocolate frosty perfection. So, swing by Wendy's and try the new Thin Mints Frosty Fusion.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. If you're exhausted, not just tired, but worn down, this message is for you. I'm Brandon Giggling, president of Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Across North Carolina, many people wait months, sometimes over a year, just to start sleep care. That wait isn't normal, and it isn't necessary. At Parkway, most patients are seen within weeks, with virtual consultations and home sleep studies that remove unnecessary delays. Sleep care shouldn't have to depend on how long you're willing to wait.
Parkway Sleep, your fastest path to better sleep. Start today at parkwaysleep.com. Sound sleep, sound health.
Flying out of RDU? You've already got a lot to think about if you're traveling. Let Fast Park and Relax take over the parking part of your trip. Fast Park and Relax is just minutes from the terminal. You simply pull into our easy access slot, park in one of our fully covered, well-lighted parking spaces, and one of our comfortable shuttles will pick you right up, load your luggage, and deliver you to your terminal. No walking, no waiting. That's why we're called Fast Park and Relax. We make airport parking easy. Check out our free parking offer at thefastpark.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader. It's 6 o'clock. Time to shift